It's the Mixed Martial Arts Hour with
Mixed Martial Arts Hour is back in your life on this Monday, March 6, 2023. Hello again, everyone. I hope you're doing well. You know, when I said 2023 there, I bit the inside of my cheek, Frank.
I could tell.
Could you tell something happened?
You kind of tightened up. You're like, oh, what's it going to be?
No, I just bit the inside of my cheek.
Oh, wait, you didn't do it on purpose.
No.
I thought you did it on purpose to remember what year it was.
You know when that happens?
Yeah, that's mine is like raw from biting on it so much.
Oh my gosh, what a way to start. So excited to be back. So excited to be here on a lovely Monday afternoon here in New York City. It feels as though things are heating up. Soon we get to turn back the clocks, right? We get to, no, not turn them back, turn them forward. Spring forward, fall back. That's what I've been told. Spring forward, fall back. So I think we get an extra hour of sunlight as of next week. So please be sure. I always have to remember that because then I start booking people from the UK and they change the clocks a few weeks later. So then they're 4 hours ahead as opposed to 5. It gets all confusing, but I don't have to worry about that for now. I am back from Florida. My brother had his wedding. In fact, he actually got married back in July. So this was just the wedding. Bit of a confusing one to explain. So I just say he got married. And I got to tell you, the people down there in South Florida are very excited for the return of the UFC. First time in 20 years. Everyone's talking to me about it. April 8th, coming up, talking to me about that. Jon Jones, of course, UFC coming back, Izzy, Masvidal, Burns. Man, they are excited down there. It's going to be quite the scene. A lot of complaining about the ticket prices, but overall, felt the love down there in Miami Beach. Had a great time. And of course, it was a very big weekend in the world of MMA. We have so much to discuss on today's show. So much to discuss on today's post-pay-per-view Monday. A very, very, very exciting post-pay-per-view Monday. I love post-pay-per-view Monday. There's nothing like the Monday after a pay-per-view, and especially when it's an important one, dare I say historic one, dare I say bigger than the usual ones. And like we said, this kicks off an incredible stretch for the sport and for the UFC in particular, because in just 2 weeks, we get another pay-per-view. That never happens, and it's not just some ho-hum pay-per-view. It's freaking Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman 3, and then 2 weeks after that, or is it 3, whatever it is, it's Izzy Pereira, and then a few weeks after that, we get another big one here in New Jersey. It seems May 6th, Aljamain Sterling, Henry Cejudo. Usually when you have that many pay-per-views and that many good fight nights, because there are a ton of good fight nights, including the one coming up this weekend with Merab Dvalishvili and Petr Yan, and of course, later on in the month, Corey Sandhagen versus Chito Vera. Usually you get a few stinkers in there, and maybe that's to come. But for now, let's enjoy this period. Now, as always, we are presented by our good friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. They are the official sports betting partner of not only the UFC, but this show as well. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today if you're one of the few who hasn't. Put in the code the MMA Hour. Special offer when you sign up. We appreciate them. Support them because they support us, and it goes a long way. A ton of stuff that you can do over there. You know the drill. Go hang out. Go check them out. Much love to the good people over at DraftKings. Now, what are we doing on today's show? Back into the show, we will talk to Bo Nickal, who improved to 4-0 on Saturday. And, a little bit of controversy attached to the victory. Jamie Pickett's team saying that, Jamie got hit with a nut shot. See what happens with that. Probably nothing. You look at the replay, maybe there's a case to be made. But, sometimes refs miss calls, and that's just the way sports go. It happens all the time in all kinds of sports. I mean, it's damn near impossible to get anything overturned in combat sports, and I think this one would be another example of that. Anyway, we'll talk to Bo. First big pay-per-view in Las Vegas, main card, opened up the main card, felt like a superstar all week, got the superstar treatment, delivered. Looking forward to chatting with him. The new look. Bo Nickal. Prior to that, we'll recap the weekend in betting. Tough one for the Parlay Pals. We'll get into all that and more. Prior to that, we'll be joined by Anthony Smith. He was in Las Vegas, of course, a former opponent of one Jon Jones. He has a big fight coming up in May as well. So we'll talk to him about all that and more. One of the best minds in the game, one of the best analysts in the game. Prior to that, we'll be joined by Ian Machado Garry, who improved to 11-0. A little dicey in the first round. got dropped, came back, won in the third, Song Kenan, and a big win for him in front of the Vegas crowd. Conor McGregor's there. He's hanging out with him beforehand. Says he wants to fight on that Miami card on April 8th. We'll see if that happens. Still undefeated, the future, all that and more. We'll talk to the recently new father, Ian Machado Garry, at around 2:15. Prior to that, 2 o'clock, Stipe Miocic, in most people's eyes, the most decorated and best UFC heavyweight of all time. He was in attendance as well, in the front row, somewhat apathetic to the whole situation, but we'll get his thoughts on if, in fact, he comes back to fight Jon Jones. And honestly, I don't know if there's anything after that. You fight that fight, you win that fight. What are you sticking around for? Especially as he has the gig as the firefighter as well. So much to get to, so much to discuss. We'll talk to the guys as well. But first, some thoughts on Saturday night, because Saturday night felt different. It felt special. It felt unique. These events don't happen every month, but they seem to be happening more often than not because, like I said, the UFC is on fire these days. And there was once a time when there were big events to us, and it seemed like no one in the mainstream sports world, in the blogosphere, in the Twitter sphere, cared. They were talking about regular season basketball. They were talking about regular season football. They were talking about anything but our dear MMA. Saturday felt like another one of those examples, not too far off from a Jon Jones or, in the past, or a Conor McGregor or a Khabib fight in the latter portion. Like, it felt like everyone was just talking about the UFC and everyone was talking about Jon Jones, and all the social media accounts were talking about the UFC and Jon Jones and everything that this, card brought. And it was an incredibly successful night for the UFC. Over $12 million was the live gate. 19,000 people. This is one of their best nights ever. They're on fire right now. And that's what happens when a guy of Jon Jones' stature returns. And so here I am sitting on a Monday. I would have been the first to say, I told you all, it wasn't the lack of motivation. I told you all that the rubber is going to meet the road. I told you this and I told you that. Here I am saying, I got this one wrong. Now, I never came out and said, I think Jon Jones is losing, but I'll be the first to say, I'm a man of honor and integrity. I told the boys in the back over there, I thought he was going to lose this fight. I thought he was going to lose this fight because I thought the layoff, I thought the move to heavyweight, I thought the last few performances were all going to be a recipe for disaster. I thought Gan, dropped the ball against Ngannou, was up 2-0, came back at home, got that first title fight out of his system, and was going to come up, on this card, show up in a big way, and freaking tell everyone that he has arrived and use Jon's stature and importance and legacy to propel him as the guy right now in the heavyweight division. None of that happened. And so I'll sit here right now and say, I got this one wrong. I got this one wrong. I was blown away by Jon Jones, blown away by him. And I wasn't just blown away by the 2.5, 3 minutes that we saw from him inside the cage on Saturday night. I was blown away by him all week. All week, Jon Jones felt comfortable, felt happy, felt stress-free, felt motivated. Like, he played the whole week perfectly, hanging out with fans, laughing, smiling. Those pictures come up of his physique. He's joking about them. Clearly a little bit bothered, but having fun with it. Freaking stared Cyril in the face, intimidated him. He was not the smaller guy. He was the bigger man. He was the freaking legend coming back to remind everyone. All week leading up to the weigh-ins, he was on point. He was on fire. Came in a little bit heavier by 0.5, seemed comfortable, seemed reinvigorated, seemed happy. I know I just said that, but it's worth repeating. Smiling, joking, seemed to embrace the whole thing. Wasn't at odds with the UFC, wasn't at odds with Dana White, was happy at the press conference, was happy interacting with the people. He was on fire. He was fantastic. But then you get to the fight and you wonder, all right, how is he going to perform? Is he going to be too slow? Is he going to be old? Is he going to be too heavy? Is he going to lose some of that speed, some of that athleticism, all that killer instinct that made him so great? And you get to the fight and you're like, man, it's like this guy never left. And I know he said in the post-fight press conference he felt a little goofy out there. He didn't look that goofy. I mean, that was a drubbing First round finish. It's been years since he's had one of those. A submission win, been years since he's had one of those as well. And it was never close. I mean, he outclassed Ciryl Gane. He made Ciryl Gane look like he doesn't belong in the same arena as him, let alone the same octagon. And so I had someone come up to me and say, someone in the mainstream sports media, it's like, I always hear you MMA guys talk about greatest of all time. Great, like every event is the greatest this, the greatest that. And yes, there's maybe a little bit of truth to that. The thing you have to understand is our sport is only 30 years old, right? So everything is still fresh and there's still a lot of room to grow as far as greatest. We don't have 100 years to look back on. That being said, he asked me, why was this so big? He beat a guy that I've never even heard of. This, again, mainstream sports guy. And I explained to him, you have to understand, Jon Jones had not fought in 3 years. And I know I'm preaching to the choir to many of you who watch this kind of show. Had not fought in 3 years. His last three performances were lackluster, to say the least. And I thought he lost to Dominic Reyes, but the judges didn't, and that's all that matters. Then he goes away. Couple run-ins with the law, butting heads with the UFC. People stopped believing, the newer fans stopped believing that he would ever come back. He would pop up on fight night, talk some shit, and then go away. Pop up, talk shit, go away. Pop up, talk shit, go away. Say he wanted more, was openly criticizing the UFC. And people thought after a year, after 2 years, all right, this guy just isn't coming back. He wants to leave his record intact, pristine, undefeated, and sail off into the sunset. And so he comes back finally at heavyweight, which is something that we'd been asking of him and wondering if he'd ever do for 5, 6, 7 years against the best available guy, right? Because Francis not available, Stipe wasn't available, and so Ciryl is the best available guy. If this was boxing, he's probably coming back to fight a top 20 guy, let alone a top 3 guy. Comes in there and does that and smokes Ciryl Gane. Like it was never even close. The first shot that Ciryl Gane threw was a nut shot. He seemed nervous. He seemed intimidated by the moment, intimidated by Jon. It did not seem like the Ciryl Gane who fought Tai Tuivasa, and that was a big moment for him in front of his people in France. Like that's a lot of pressure. In Paris, rose to the occasion there. Even against Francis, first 2 rounds looked pretty damn good. On this night, looked like a guy who had never been in a spot like this before. That was Jon Jones reminding everyone that he is the greatest of all time. And I had a lot of people ask me, all right, are you going to change your rankings? What do I have to change? I said it as recently as last week. If everything is included, if there are no asterisks, if we don't care about PDs, and most of you don't, Jon Jones has been the greatest of all time for, I don't know, 6, 7 years. He's been the greatest of all time since he beat Daniel Cormier, maybe even before that. Don't pay attention to all these people who bring up Khabib this, they bring up Usman, they bring up, no, it's always been Jon Jones. If everything is included, it has always been Jon Jones. This was just the cherry on top. He didn't have to do this to be considered the greatest of all time. If he would have retired after the Dominic Reyes fight, he still would have been the greatest of all time. Like I've said time and again, his streak, especially the first 5, 6, 7 years, was unlike anything we've ever seen. The way in which he won, who he beat, how dominant he was, it was unlike anything that we have ever seen and will ever see. Because it wasn't just dominance a la Valentina Shevchenko, Demetrius Johnson. It was dominance, and against who? The opponents matter. The strength of competition, the strength of schedule matters. And it mattered when he beat them. It freaking mattered, and it mattered, and it mattered. And it was one impressive performance after the next. He didn't need this. But if y'all needed this, great. Now, again, I will repeat, sitting here, if we're going to play the game where if you've tested positive once, twice, whatever, and you can't be included, and now we're talking about the Khabibs, the GSPs, the DJs, the DCs, the Stipes, the Fedors, all that, that's a great list. But that doesn't include Jon Jones, that doesn't include Anderson Silva and a few others, then GSP is my number one. But if it's the everyone is included list, it has always been Jon Jones. It has always been Jon Jones. And so now on Saturday, he reminds us, and he does the thing, by the way, that when I would talk about GSP being number one, who is still my number one in the, PED free list, I would say, well, the reason he's number one over the DJs, the Khabibs, etc., is because he won that second belt. Well, now Jon Jones has also done that. And he moved up to heavyweight, and he's just the 8th guy or gal in the history of the UFC to do that now, to win a belt in 2 different weight classes. And heavyweight, light heavyweight, it's Randy Couture, it's Daniel Cormier, and it's Jon Jones. And some other stats for you if you want, you know, just to like revel in what he did. 15 victories in UFC championship fights, most ever. 15. You see what happens when someone gets to 5, 6, 7, 8. 15 victories in UFC championship fights. That's insane. That is unbelievable. 8th fighter to ever win a belt in 2 different weight classes. And it's only been the best of the best to do that. And so I was absolutely blown away by him. I didn't expect that kind of dominance. I didn't expect him to look that comfortable. I didn't expect him to be that happy, that relaxed. I mean, he really, really, really showed up in a big way. And now all of a sudden, he's the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world as well. In case you thought that that was a debate just a few weeks ago with Volkanovski and Islam, spoiler alert, it ain't a debate. You come back and you win at heavyweight against the 3rd-ranked guy, 3rd available guy at the top. It's surreal. It's in the world, you could say it's Francis, Cyril, Stipe. It's Francis, Cyril, Curtis Blades, Stipe. Like, of the guys who are available, you can make a case that in any promotion, Cyril's what, 3, 4 at worst? He just smoked that guy. He smoked him. And the amazing thing is, he's only 35. And if you're fighting at heavyweight, and especially if you're fighting like that, who's to say he doesn't do this for a few more years? Maybe everyone was right. Maybe he was lacking motivation. And I don't know. If they do him versus Stipe in July, maybe after that fight, he's like, man, I don't really want to fight the Curtis Blades of the world, because I think you can make a case that a Curtis Blades fight against Jon Jones is a tougher fight for Jon than a Stipe. But the Stipe fight is the fight to make. It's the biggest fight out there. And what a weird world that we live in, that it's Jon Jones's presence that gives Stipe a reason to come back. Because if it was Gane, who was the heavyweight champion, or Curtis Blades, or Sergey Pavlovich, or any one of these guys, Spivak, there's not going to be a demand for Stipe to come back. And I really think he would have just sailed off into the sunset. And we'll talk to him about that in about 40 minutes' time. But it's Jon Jones's presence and his legacy that now makes that fight matter and makes us want that fight. And I think that that's Stipe's last fight, win or lose. I mean, what is he going to come back to fight those guys that I just mentioned? Like, what's the point? But a legacy fight against Jon Jones for both of them feels big. I don't think Jon retires, win or lose. I think Stipe retires, win or lose. But that feels important, feels big. I love the trash talk afterwards from Jon. Love that. Where he's like, I would take some time off. He's very underrated. When he wants to like be cerebral, he's very good at that. I would take time off from being a firefighter. Great line. Dana knows people make mistakes. Great line. Like he was on point. He was, even that freaking trench coat. He looked like the Undertaker out there at the post-fight press conference. He looked fantastic. So I think Stipe should thank him. Like, his presence, him coming back, is huge. And I don't know how much leverage Stipe has going into this whole situation, but it feels like that's the fight that Jon wants. And what Jon wants, Jon is going to get at this point. And it's the biggest fight out there for both of them. Like, obviously, stature-wise, Jon versus Stipe is bigger than anything else out there. But right now, it is the Jon Jones show. He's #1 pound for pound, wins the second belt, moves up, 3-year layoff, no question about it. He's the greatest of all time if everything is included, no question about it. And he just won in the first round via submission against a guy who, had looked pretty damn good in his last fight and, went the distance with Francis Ngannou. Would love, in an alternate universe, to see that Ngannou-Jones fight. And I thought that it would be a tough matchup for Jon, but after Saturday, I don't even know. It felt like a different person. It felt like the Jon Jones of 5-6 years ago, where he had a point to prove and he was just going to go out there. And honestly, like, when I saw the pictures as well, I was like, man, this guy doesn't look like he's in great shape. He looks like Damon Wayans from the Great White Hype. I think he's going to look even better the next time out. And I think he's going to look even more ferocious the next time out. What a story. What an absolute story. He looked fantastic out there, and things are now really fun and interesting. And I hope that he can stay on the straight and narrow. If everything is as it seems, because we've been here before with Jon. Fantastic month later, trouble. Fantastic month later. If he can stay out of trouble, clean, quiet, back to doing the work, he can have a legendary 5-year run. Who's stopping him? What's stopping him? And so we'll see how it plays out. And so that was one of the things that made Saturday night so special. And then you have in the co-main event, Alexa Grasso, the pride of Mexico, who we heard some 7-8 years ago get signed by Invicta, and Invicta said, like, this could be one of the future faces of women's MMA, and it was up and down for her at 115, and she moves up to 125 and has since been undefeated, quiet, unassuming, soft-spoken, has looked incredible at 125. She goes in there against Valentina Shevchenko, who, as we've been talking about, it seemed like the competition was starting to catch up. And again, a lot of us were talking Aaron Blanchfield. We were talking Tyler Santos. We were talking Manon Fiorot. We forgot about Mexico's own, Guadalajara's own, Alexa Grasso, who submits Valentina Shevchenko. Valentina throws the spinning back kick in the 4th round. She grabs a hold of her back and freaking chokes her with everything she's got. And yes, it was amazing. Didn't quite have it under the neck, but just freaking squeezed and squeezed and squeezed. And there was a reluctant Valentina with the single taps, not the boom, boom, boom. The fuck, you got me. You got me. Wow, what a moment. I was doing an interview with someone today about some story on MMA, and they said, why do you still love the sport? And I'll repeat, it's for moments like that, for the emotion that we saw. Alexa Grasso, who we've been on this journey with. Again, I always talk about UFC 184, the Ronda and Kat Zingano show. And the night before in LA, it was Alexa Grasso, it was Chris Cyborg, Irene Aldana, and we were thinking, all right, in a few years, are these going to be the players? And then it looked like maybe not. Maybe they were more marketing, more hype. She has freaking put it all together. And you see that play out. And, you know, there are some people like Jon Jones, like Bo Nickal, that just go like this. And then there are some people who it's like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this. And then you see this explosion. You're like, wow, they finally put it all together. Leon's another one of those. And I think those are the ones that stick with us. Because you see them from the prelims, and you see them stumble, and you see them falter, and you see them try to figure things out. And then they go on this amazing run and put it all together. And we saw Alexa Grasso, who was a plus 2,500, I believe, to submit Valentina Shevchenko. We saw her submit the greatest female flyweight fighter of all time, and probably like top 2 or 3, you can make the case, greatest UFC women's fighters of all time. Like in terms of stature and legacy and what she's done, there's Nunes, there's her. Obviously, Ronda's in the mix. Cyborg didn't have the best run, but still, her body of work speaks for itself. Like, where do you put her? Miesha Tate, Holly Holm, she's in there. She's top 2, top 3. She was my #1 female pound-for-pound fighter on the planet going into that fight. No longer. And so do they run it back? Do they do something else? Who knows? But all of a sudden, Mexico now has 3 champions, 2 undisputed, Brandon Moreno, Alexa Grasso, 1 interim, Yair Rodriguez. And what's amazing about this is when we went to those early Mexico shows, UFC 180, 188, it all felt like, all right, these are solid prelim fighters, but there's no real champion in this group. Kane made headlines, but he was Mexican-American. Now you have purebred Mexican fighters who 20 or so years ago are maybe going into boxing. Now they're coming into here. And who knows what happens in 10 years as a result of these victories. They got to figure out a way to go to Mexico now. You got to have a card with Moreno, with Alexa Grasso, throw Yair on there. Maybe not for Cinco de Mayo because, of course, it looks like they're going to Jersey that weekend. Maybe for September, Mexican Independence Weekend. I know that's typically a Canelo weekend. And him not fighting this Cinco de Mayo weekend feels like it opens the door, but that's in 2 months. Doesn't seem fair. Regardless, doesn't even matter what weekend, honestly, just do it any weekend. You got to capitalize on this. 2 out of the UFC's champions are from Mexico, born and bred in Mexico. Who would have thought 5 years ago? Unbelievable. Shavkat Rakhmonov remains undefeated. What a fight against Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal proved to be very, very tough. Shafkat just a bit tougher, and he's a name to watch, and I would love to see him versus Colby. I don't know if Colby does that fight, if I'm being honest. I don't know if he has any interest in that whatsoever. I don't know where, like, is he ever going to come back? Who the hell knows? But I would love to see that. Mateusz Gamrot had a very, Mateusz Gamrot-like fight and performance against Jalen Turner, and I thought Jalen Turner was a live dog. And Bo Nickal remains undefeated, as I said. Somewhat controversial with the nut shot, if you will, but I don't think anything's going to happen here. Cody Garbrandt with the big win over Trevin Jones, somewhat back on top, somewhat back on track as well. Dricus du Plessis gets Derek Brunson's corner to throw in the towel. How about that? Never see that. He's in the mix. Marc-André Barriault with the big win over Julian Marquez. Ian Machado Garry, as I said, remains undefeated after getting dropped in the first round. It was a great night. A great night on paper and a night that delivered. And I was watching the updates and all that stuff up until pretty much the end of the Gamrot fight. Then the wedding ended, and then I watched the last three fights live, went back yesterday to watch everything that I missed, and it all delivered. It was a great night for the sport, great night for the UFC, felt big and important. Let's talk to the guys about it all because they were watching live, and I think, we didn't really talk a lot about it, but I know New York Rick has been on the Jon Jones bandwagon for some time, and wow, you got the poster too, huh? What, we moved it over?
We shifted it.
I like it. So I'm blown.
At its time, and now it's home.
No, it makes sense. So I was blown away. I said what I said. How did you feel about his performance on Saturday?
Yeah. To say I expected it would not be true, right? There were a lot of unknowns heading into this fight, and I was willing to grant that there were a lot of unknowns. I wasn't confidently saying Jon Jones is going to come in there and smoke Ciryl Gane. Because of the time off, because of the move to heavyweight, I thought there was a chance that this could not happen. But did I also think there was a chance that this did happen? Yeah, I did, because I don't think Ciryl Gane has the tools to stop Jon Jones in any significant way. Did I think it happened in this method? No, probably not this quick. Like, Jon Jones is not really known as this level of a finisher, and especially not this quickly. It's been a long time in his career since he's been able to do this. But I was impressed. I was definitely impressed. He looked like a legit heavyweight, and I think once you kind of see him standing next to Ciryl Gane, Jon Jones is a heavyweight. This is official now, right? Like, there was a lot of talk about his physique, but if we really think about like the best heavyweights, did most of them look like bodybuilders? Like, you put Francis aside, did most of them look like bodybuilders? They really didn't.
No.
Like, some of the best ever: Fedor, Cormier, Kane. Like, it's just not. It's not how it was.
The reason that was such a big deal, by the way, was because we have seen Jon look like a bodybuilder, right? So it was a little bit jarring to see him like this. And I actually feel like we're going to see him in even better shape the next time we see him. And it felt like he was like, all right, was he like uncomfortable in his skin? But then you see him out there.
But I also think even if we see him in better shape next time, that's just a vanity thing. I think it's
clearly
for him to want to look more sculpted. As long as Jon Jones is at the weight that he feels he can optimally perform, and based on what he came into the cage at, it looked like he was ready to optimally perform. That's all that really matters. Jon Jones is a beast, man. And this is one of the things I've talked to Connor about this in various different mediums and platforms. And one of the principles I've always had is, if you can get somebody as great as Jon Jones, like a Floyd Mayweather, like a Jon Jones, at minus 150, whatever he was, you have to ride it. You have to just take that sometimes and take that money to the bank. Let the variables fall to the side. When you're talking about all-time greatness, when you're talking about somebody who's done the things that Jon Jones has done, sometimes it's a gift that's just staring you in the face and you're overthinking it. And that kind of ended up being how it looked on Saturday night. Was, what were we thinking? This guy's an all-time great. And he was less than 2-1 against the guy in Ciryl Gane who looked completely overmatched.
What do you think, GC?
I mean, everything you guys just said. I was blown away. I never expected it to be that easy. Like, he blanked Ciryl Gane. He skunked him. Like, he embarrassed him. Like that's as plain as it went. Like I was blown away. I didn't expect it to be that easy for him. Like I feel like he ended any sort of GOAT debates. I think he's #1 pound for pound now. And yeah, I mean, it couldn't have gone any better for him. The way that he acted all week, you said it, the confidence that he had, it just felt like there was sort of a mystique around him. And then to come out there, in front of all these stars, this massive crowd, I'm sure there were millions of people watching at home, and to just make it look that easy was incredible.
Is it mean to say that it felt like Ciryl bottled it, as they say, right? Like I
don't think that's mean. I think that's what happened. I mean,
and that's not trying to take anything away from Jon Jones, but I feel like you can also say Jon Jones was dominant, and you can also say and was incredible and spectacular. But like I just felt like Ciryl didn't show up.
Here's the one thing I could push back against that. That's just not a good matchup for Ciryl Gane against that version of Jon Jones. Like, if he showed up at his best, and maybe he was, like, I don't even think we saw enough of the fight to really know if Ciryl bottled it, because it was too short. Like, we don't know if he had that opportunity. I would say against Francis Ngannou, bottled it, right? Like, that was his fight and just blew it, and Francis took that over. Against Jon, it just looked like a dude with more horsepower. Like, just he had the faster car, and they got to the line, and they revved their engines, and Jon Jones had the bigger engine. So I get what you're saying. I honestly just feel like it was too short to even know. Like, he wasn't competitive enough to even know if he blew it or was just outgunned. I would probably lean that he was outgunned, if I'm being honest. I just don't think he's as good as Jon Jones.
Yeah, but I mean, he presented really no resistance at all. Like he threw one punch, overexposed himself, got taken down, and then had no defense on the choke. And like,
but
the position that he was in, like sitting up against the cage with his back up against the cage, bottom on the ground, and a 250-pound Jon Jones, putting all of his weight on him, like there was no way he was going to survive those 3.5 minutes.
But if you watched the Francis fight, isn't that something you could see? Right? Like, is that different?
I don't know, but to go 2.5 minutes compared to going 25, it's just like, I mean, he just walked through him.
One thing to put the Ciryl thing into perspective is, I said this last week, Jon Jones's last great performance, his last dominant performance was against Alexander Gustafsson in 2018, right?
Yeah.
The final weekend of 2018. So think about all the things he did up until that point. Think about all the great wins over all the legends. Ciryl Gane's MMA debut came just 4 months before that fight. His MMA debut was in August of 2018. So there is a case to be made that Ciryl was fast-tracked. He was an incredible athlete with a great backstory from a great part of the world that, they wanted to put in. I'm not trying to say in retrospect that he was a never was or anything like that. But it is important to note that the amount of experience that Jon Jones has as opposed to Ciryl, especially in these moments, like I said, 15, victories in title fights is exponentially greater. And maybe he's just not ready for these moments. I'm not ready to write this guy off, and I think he could figure it out and get back on track if he wants to. He's now, lost in 2 big title fights, but Jon Jones proved to be, just leaps and bounds from an experience level, from a just like a comfort in the cage level, in the moment level, and just from a skill level. Like even that moment where he goes for the choke, it doesn't work out, and then just goes right back to it and nails him with that.
There's levels to this game, and Jon is on a different level. I think it's completely fair to look at Ciryl Gane and say that he got to a spot because the heavyweight division is not that deep, and he was fast-tracked into opportunities that I think he can be competitive in. But when you're talking about a guy like Francis and when you're talking about a guy like Jon, I just think that level's a little bit different. I think that those waters are a little bit deeper than the levels that I think Ciryl Gane is at right now. And that's not a disrespect. I think he's perfectly capable and deserves to be a highly ranked heavyweight. But there's another step up, and those guys are on that level.
To that point, look no further than the fact that Stipe, who hasn't fought in 2 years and is coming off a knockout loss, is the big next fight, right? There just isn't a lot of big names out there. Do we know the odds in that fight going into, are there any opening odds, GC, for that?
Yeah, Jon Jones is minus 350 right now.
Wow. Oh, man. He opened up as an underdog against Ciryl, right?
Against Ciryl, yeah.
Yeah.
He opened up as an underdog.
Wow.
The Stipe one, I want to say he opened like minus 200. It's obviously been bet down to minus.
Do you think Stipe has a chance against him?
I mean, a chance, sure, but who do I think is going to win? Jon Jones.
Man.
I mean, the last time we saw Stipe, years ago, it was him getting brutally knocked out by Francis Ngannou. Now he's aged even longer. He hasn't been fully committed to fighting, and he's going up against Jon Jones, who just the way he talks, the work ethic of Jon Jones, like he's just like, this is the most important thing of my life. He's already moving on to the next thing.
Right.
Winning the heavyweight belt wasn't enough for him.
All the question marks that we had about Jon Jones are now Stipe's question marks.
Yeah.
The time off, and now he's coming into the fight. Jon Jones is in the cage now.
Yeah.
Motivation, all those things. Except the difference is Jon Jones, well, I was going to say won his last fight. I think there's some people that would debate it. But Jon Jones, on paper, won his last fight. And Stipe got knocked out. Like, there's a lot of question marks around Stipe. I don't foresee it going very well. I think a motivated Jon Jones is a real problem for anybody, but with all those question marks, the same ones that everybody was pointing to make this case against Jon Jones for Cyril Gane, those now transfer right over to Stipe.
The beauty about this Jon Jones, as opposed to the one from 3 years ago, is that the one from 3 years ago had already cemented his spot as the best light heavyweight on the planet. So to the point that people were making last weekend that I was dismissing, he had to get up to fight Dominic Reyes, Anthony Smith, Thiago Santos. Now he's got this runway of, let me try to be the greatest heavyweight of all time. Because honestly, that runway is much shorter. And so it doesn't necessarily matter, right? It doesn't necessarily matter if it's Stipe or not, but I appreciate the fact that he's like, all right, the heavyweight GOAT is available. Let me go after that guy. And then maybe I'll go after, I don't know, Curtis Blade, Tom Aspinall. I think if he feels this way and he's this happy and he has found his purpose and maybe wants to make up for lost time, why can't we see another 5 years out of him? Now, we may play this clip back in 6 months and be like, damn, you were foolish. You know, like, fool me once, fool me twice, fool me 3 times. But the runway is there for him to plant his flag in a second weight class, right?
This is the weight class to do it.
Oh my God.
Heavyweights are older. There's less skill, more power, or less technique rather. Not less skill, less technique, more power. And those are the things that tend to carry. Right, the speed is usually what's going to go. It's not necessarily the power that tends to hold on a little bit longer. So yeah, I think Jon Jones is in a really nice position to make this a real run if he wants to do it. But quite frankly, even if he gets in one title defense, I think that really like helps his legacy tremendously. To be a champion in a second division and not just capture the belt, but actually defend the title, that changes the game. So no matter what he's doing after that, it's kind of gravy. Like the dude's legacy is untouchable at this point.
I mean, there's a world where he gets to 20 title fight wins by the end of his career, which is just insane to think about.
Unbelievable. On Friday and then on Saturday, Dana White said that there's no chance that Francis Ngannou will ever come back. Obviously, he has said things in the past and has gone back on them, including when Francis beat Stipe. I believe he said, if I were Jon Jones, I would go to 185 and run away from this man. So, you know, like, he says shit. That being said, if they booked the Stipe fight, and what a perfect international fight week main event that would be, right? Like, it just feels perfect for international. Like last year's was cool and all, but it felt like it was lacking a little bit. Cannonier, Izzy, like, didn't quite have it. This feels like it has it. It's a heavyweight title fight. Yeah.
Yes. If Jon Jones is fighting, like you talked about it felt so big. I went to breakfast yesterday morning and it was in a diner and I could overhear strangers, like this wasn't just like one table, strangers arguing over Jon Jones' legacy, what happened at UFC 285. I've never really witnessed something like that where people are talking about it like they're talking about the Super Bowl or something the day after.
Just wait until Conor comes back.
Oh my God.
It will be tenfold. I mean,
2023 is just...
it's a huge one.
It could be a huge year.
Huge one if it all stays intact. So that would be perfect. I wonder though if he beats Stipe, if they revisit the Francis thing.
You've got to.
Maybe he gets that one. How big? He gets that one boxing match out of the way.
Yeah.
Out of his system. And maybe there's an opportunity there. I don't know.
Incredible.
There are egos involved here, right?
Yeah.
Obviously that would be the hindrance from a promotional perspective, from a fight perspective, from a money-making opportunity. There's nothing that would stop that fight from happening. There's nothing bigger than that fight, save for maybe Conor versus Nate or something, you know, like that. You're really talking rarefied air in terms of how big a fight that could possibly be. It comes down to egos. Francis's ego, Dana White's ego. Though that would be the only obstacle. Because from a money-making perspective, there's no doubt this fight just got even bigger than it already was, and it was already big. So it's massive, and they would be irresponsible not to revisit it.
Just think of the money, I mean, that they made on Saturday. And the Francis fight is 5 times bigger than that.
It's insane.
You know what I mean?
It's only
Just
gotten
to think
bigger.
about that.
It's only
From
gotten
when they
bigger.
were first talking about it. They lucked into now potentially the bigger fight, and it should have to be discussed. If they don't discuss it, it's purely an ego thing.
Could you imagine if Francis actually wins his pro boxing debut? I don't know who would be against. Let's say he fights Dillian White, let's just say, and wins that.
But wouldn't that hurt it? Wouldn't that hurt the chances? Because then you
No.
stick around and do another boxing
Just
fight.
break the bank for the guy, man. Like,
Yeah, I was going to say, hurt the chances potentially, but it would make the fight even bigger if he were to beat him.
I don't.
you break the bank for him, and you'll still make
I was
a
going to say,
shitload of money.
there is like no number that you could invest in this fight that you wouldn't end up seeing just monster profits.
Yeah,
The fight would be so
It's
big.
worth it in every regard.
Oh,
But
it'd be so big.
if Francis knocks out a legit boxer, Francis goes in there and knocks out a legit boxer, I think another bigger boxing fight
Sure.
is in store.
Of course, yes.
It's just really hard to get away from that.
Sure. If he loses,
If he loses, I think
does the
runway's
Jones fight suffer?
I
No.
don't think so. No,
No.
because I don't think anyone really expects him to win. If he gets in there with like a real legit pro boxer, like a Dillian White
Yeah.
or a Deontay Wilder, I don't think losing hurts him at all.
No way. Especially if he's not like brutally knocked out, right? If we're talking
Yeah.
like he loses a decision, roll it. Let's go. Jon Jones, Francis Ngannou, let's do it. There's
Oh, it'd
nothing
be
stopping
amazing.
It was, it was honestly great. You think back to the guys that he has fought, that Jon Jones has fought, most of those guys, which makes the performance even that much more impressive. Like, this is his UFC resume. Gusmao, not in the UFC. Bonner, of course, not in the UFC. Jake O'Brien, not in the UFC. Matt Hamill, not in the UFC. Brandon Vera, Vladimir Matyushenko, Ryan Bader, still active, still thriving, but not in the UFC. Shogun, not in the UFC. Rampage, Lyoto, Rashad, Vitor, Chael, Gus, Glover just retired, DC, OSP still in the mix, but not really a top contender. Gus, Anthony Smith, Thiago Santos, Dominic Reyes, all the big wins, those guys aren't around anymore. And he's doing that for the heavyweight title. You know what I mean? Speaks to how young he was when he got in, but also it's an unbelievable thing. And it felt a little bit like comfort food seeing him back. Yeah, this is one of our guys from 2010. This is one of those familiar faces. And you know what? Another thing, we were talking about this last week. We've been accustomed to some crazy Jon Jones fight weeks. Nothing came up. No controversy. Like, the biggest quote unquote controversy was when those pictures came out of his physique and everyone was cracking jokes. And then he just kind of took it in stride, and that was it.
Yeah, you can tell it bothers him, but
Yes, for sure.
he did handle it well. Yeah.
Oh my God. It was like like 1,000% better than I thought it was going to be. A grand slam of a week for Jon Jones. I thought he would be, yeah. I didn't expect any of that. I really thought, I have this theory about, you get rushed into a title fight, you lose, you stumble, you come back. GSP, Rose, there's a bunch of those people. First title fight doesn't go your way, you come back and you look great in the second. And I thought that was going to be Cyril. It's different when you fight Jon Jones.
It's different.
Yes,
That's it.
that's it.
He's fighting
It's
Jon
it's
Jones.
different.
That's the difference. There's levels to this game. There are levels to this game, and he's fighting Jon Jones. I will say, not only is it a grand slam from the parts that Jon Jones could control, but from the perspective, and I'm talking strictly from the perspective of the UFC and Jon Jones. It's also a grand slam in terms of, I feel like the public, based on what I'm seeing online, the public is real ready to determine that Jon Jones is the best heavyweight on the planet and move on from Francis Ngannou. There is a lot of
this is the
sentiment
best
in the direction, and that helps big time for them. That helps big time for them, because if this looked a little bit different, there'd be a lot of conversation about Francis Ngannou is still the best heavyweight. If
Cyril would have won, right?
If Cyril would have won, if Jon wouldn't have looked good,
Yeah.
Francis's name would have been popping up a lot more. I'm seeing the opposite. I'm seeing people being like, why are we still talking about this?
Yeah, F this
and I
guy.
think that's crazy. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. But it's good for Jon Jones, and it's good for the UFC if they're trying to say, let's leave Francis Ngannou in the past. It seems like the fans are willing to kind of go with them on that ride.
If Cyril would have won, it would have been much easier to say, well, Francis had the win over him.
Yeah.
This helps them move on. Let me ask you this question. Who's the best heavyweight on the planet?
Francis.
GC?
I don't know, dude. I need to see them fight. I can't see.
Well, the point is, when's the last time? The last time we could say that the best heavyweight on the planet wasn't in the UFC was probably in 2009, 2010, right before he lost to Fedor lost to Fabricio Verdum. It's been 13 years since you can actually have that conversation with a straight face.
Man, people are really forgetting how good Francis Ngannou is. It's sad.
Especially as of late, yeah.
It like hurts my heart. And this is coming from probably one of the bigger Jon Jones believers that you'll ever meet in your life.
Yeah.
The rush to bury Francis Ngannou is startling, man. That dude.
But you know this happens anytime someone's at odds with the UFC. More often than not, the public will just. No one knows that anything outside of the UFC exists. All those celebrities, they don't know.
Just here, he was just here. It's not that. It's not that long ago.
It was over a year ago, and that's an eternity in the fight game.
The performance that he had against Stipe, coupled with going in on one knee and beating Cyril Gane after dropping the first 2 rounds, the willingness to kind of dismiss Francis Ngannou. And his skills, and I think a lot of people are starting to. I'm hearing a lot of talk of like reducing him to this just like one-shot power puncher. Which don't get me wrong, that is his best weapon. He is a heavy-handed fighter. But like this idea that Jon Jones is just coming in shooting power doubles and taking Francis Ngannou down, I don't know, man. I really don't know about that. And I think people are really too quick to move on from Francis Ngannou, who is in my opinion, a special athlete, a special heavyweight. And just pretend that it's like a foregone conclusion that Jon Jones steamrolls him. Would he beat him? Sure, I could hear the case. I believe greatly in Jon Jones' skills, but it's kind of like disrespectful how people are treating Francis Ngannou, if I'm being honest.
I'd love to see that fight. God, I would love to.
And I would love to see that damn fight.
I would love to see that fight. We're going to talk more about Jones, but could we give Alexa Grasso, because on any other Monday, we're going gaga over Alexa Grasso, and she's, the topic of discussion for the first hour. That was your first time seeing Alexa Grasso, because you used to do PR stuff for Invicta. When was it?
For PR? Oh, man, I don't know, because I don't remember when her first fight with the promotion was. But I saw all her Invicta fights, because by the time I stopped working with Invicta, she had already moved on to the UFC. So I've
2014 Ashley Cummins was her first fight for Invicta.
I was there for all her Invicta fights. Even then, just like a special striker, right? Like a special
striker,
boxer. Yeah. And somebody who you could clearly see had talent. And I think, the culmination of that was kind of that Invicta FC 11 event, which was right before, I think, UFC 2. What was the Cat and
184.
184. Yeah, wow. 2. Before UFC 184 in California, where Dana White's there. I believe the matchmakers are there.
Yeah.
Mick and Sean. And
no, this is pre. This
is pre
sale. Yeah.
So Sean and Dana getting a chance to look at Alexa Grasso and Irene Aldana, and Dana White believing that those two could be the future of women's MMA and future of the promotion. And now we see Alexa make good on it, and Irene is not far off either.
Right.
Like it's a pretty crazy journey. But yeah, even back then, I think everybody pegged her as a very special kind of talent, and whether she could realize that was going to be up to her. And now she's the freaking world champion and beat Valentina Shevchenko.
What a finish.
Finished Valentina Shevchenko.
Finish. That's the thing. Subbed her. With an unbelievable. I mean, that sequence at the end there was a masterclass. And now I was thinking about this because we talked about it very recently about the immediate rematch thing. And I don't know, like,
welcome to
yes,
welcome.
I actually feel like they shouldn't do an immediate rematch.
I think they're going to. Though.
They're going to.
However you feel about it, I think they're going to.
I wonder if we should learn a lesson from the Juliana Pena Amanda Nunes fight, where it's like, all right, we have this incredible moment, you run it back, she loses, and it almost feels like that moment never happened anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
It kind of does. It kind of does.
You know what I mean?
If we are doing this in service to Valentina Shevchenko, right?
Yeah.
If this is solely to say, Valentina, we appreciate everything you've done for the company. You are a tremendous
She deserves
champion.
it.
You deserve, quote unquote, deserve, because I don't think that matters in the fight game. You quote unquote deserve it. We're giving you this opportunity. I don't have a problem with it. But if you want compelling storylines, if you want the divisions to continue to move, if you want to generate new contenders, Valentina fights somebody else, Alexa fights somebody else, and they link up later. The immediate rematch thing is such a waste of time. It's just such a waste of time.
Okay, then who would we like to see her? Blanchfield?
Blanchfield?
Right
Great,
now?
let's do it. Why not?
See,
What do you mean right now? She was about to be she's the next coming of Jesus, and she's going to beat Valentina Shevchenko, and now it's she's not even going to fight Alexa?
Okay, well, here's the thing. I feel like it's incredibly disrespectful to Valentina to now make the decision like we're not going to do this. Historically, you have a long title reign. You've earned that shot. Even the Izzies of the world gets that shot, right?
I think they're going to.
And I think so too. But now that I start to see this, and I'm like, and it's really the Pena moment.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. There's no telling that Valentina is going to beat her again, because if you look at the scorecards, I mean, say she doesn't finish her in that 4th round and they go to a 5th round, it would have been 2-2 entering the 5th round, and there's no telling what would have happened there. It was a very close fight. Yeah, Valentina clearly won 2 and 3, but Grasso, you know, if you look at the scorecards, she was down 2-1. She was about to win the 4th round. It would have been tied going into the 5th. Like, if she beats her again, then she puts it to rest, and it feels like Valentina's career at 125 is sort of beginning to come to an end at that point.
I got to be honest. Some of the immediate rematches feel like trying to correct the history books.
Yeah.
Some of them feel like
that's what the Nunez one felt.
The better outcome for the UFC was the one that didn't happen, and so we're trying to correct the record. I don't know that this is a bad outcome for the UFC.
Oh my God.
Let's let it sit.
I don't think
this is
it
an
is
unbelievable
let's let it
outcome.
sit.
But I don't think they're going to. I think Alexa Grasso talked about it, and Valentina tweeted about it. Like, they both said immediate rematch is happening.
Sometimes you don't get what you want.
What's the bigger fight? Obviously, the rematch is a bigger fight.
Yes, but that...
Oh,
but,
then Grasso Blanchfield?
Yeah.
For sure. No doubt.
Here's the problem with that. Now the other fights become smaller fights. Yes, that's the bigger fight, but you make the other fights feel less significant. There's a problem. There was a problem during Valentina Shevchenko's reign, and it was evident in the Alexa Grasso fight, where everybody who was presented as a challenger for Valentina Shevchenko was minimized, felt like they had no chance. Everybody reduced them to fodder or food for Valentina Shevchenko. So then when somebody's competitive, like Tyler Santos is, it's like, wow, is Val slipping? No, they're good fighters, man. And Alexa Grasso is a really, really good fighter. Personally, I thought this was a really bad style matchup for Alexa Grasso. I'm not about to sit here and pretend that I was picking Alexa Grasso. I thought this was a bad style matchup for her, but she's a really, really good and really, really well-rounded fighter. And a lot of Valentina Shevchenko's opponents have been minimized to just the next step, and then Valentina moves on, and then it just continues. If we continue to make this the Valentina Shevchenko show, and instead of celebrating Alexa Grasso and giving her a potentially new opponent, it will always be the Valentina Shevchenko show, and everybody else will get reduced. Let's just move on. Look, one fight. Valentina Shevchenko wins one more fight. Give her a title shot. That's great. I got no problem with it.
So what do you
don't
think?
need immediate rematches every single time.
Shevchenko Santos 2, Grasso Blanchfield for the belt. Winner of Shevchenko Santos 2 gets the title shot.
Love it.
Damn, that's a
Give
tough fight.
What do we do?
Give Tyler another.
What do we do with Manon Fiorot?
I don't know. We don't really know what her status is.
Now I love my girl Manon Fiorot's chances of getting the belt. You know, give me Fiorot, Grasso, a nice little 25-minute stand-up of fear.
The thing about Shevchenko, I like what you're saying, but I also feel bad, and I think this doesn't get talked about enough. 20 years in MMA, 30 years, as she said, in martial arts. Her run in the UFC alone, unbelievable. This is her first loss at 125. She's only lost to 2 people now in the UFC, Amanda Nunes and Alexa Grasso.
Crazy.
9-0 going into this fight as a 125-pounder. And like a lot of those fights were, I mean, it felt like, talk about levels with Jon Jones and Cyril Gane, felt like this was, you know, NBA champion going up against, you know, a D3 basketball team at times. So I hate to put this rule into place now, but there's a part of me that feels like with the Pena thing, like they kind of ruined that. They could have had a little bit of a run there with Pena, and they just went right back to the well, and now, you know,
and now we're waiting on another one.
Yeah,
it makes it so much less interesting. It makes it so much less interesting. I get it. The long-standing champ deserves respect, but like winning one more fight and then getting back there is
same card.
Kind of like
same card would be fun.
Do it on the same card, and then it's perfect. It's
like a little tourney. Yeah,
I'm back. I wasn't ready last time. I took you lightly. I'm gonna smoke you this time. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, I feel you, but I think it's just going to be the immediate rematch.
It's a little unimaginative to just keep doing the immediate rematches. Every time a somewhat dominant champ loses, just run it right back. And sometimes it's controversial enough, like the finish in the Izzy Pereira fight, very controversial in my opinion, very premature. So you got to run that back. You got to run that back when it's controversial.
I mean, the next two cards, the next two pay-per-views that we're about to see, Leon Usman,
running
immediate
back.
rematch. Izzy Pereira, immediate rematch, and I think Valentina Shevchenko versus.
But now this is what we want as fans and as the hardcores. But from a business standpoint, the bigger fights are always the running it back scenario.
Is this like a pay-per-view draw, or is this going to end up as the co-main on a card that already has a different title fight?
Do an immediate rematch, but do a card in Mexico, and it's the co-main under a Brandon Moreno fight.
You could put Grasso versus a broomstick in Mexico, and it's going to be with the
but
rest
give her
of
the immediate
Mexican
rematch
champions.
and just make it on Alexa Grasso's home soil.
But can I just throw something out? Grasso versus Shevchenko is a bigger fight than Brandon versus anyone at 125.
Really?
Absolutely. Brandon's a bigger star, but who's the opponent?
Pantoja?
Pantoja versus Moreno is a bigger fight than Grasso Shevchenko too?
I mean, what do we mean by bigger? This is always the thing that we kind of get into is like
bigger fight.
Brandon Moreno would be the main event.
I think Brandon Moreno
if
headlining the card
Mexico.
would be bigger, yes.
No doubt. No doubt.
Brandon, because of who he is. He's beloved.
He's
but the
hero.
fight itself, like the story,
Yeah, Pantoja and Moreno got a great story. I love it.
If Alex Pantoja rung my doorbell today,
Stop, dude. Don't,
What?
dude.
No.
Come on, man.
Shevchenko?
Like he's like a top
No,
30.
Shevchenko Grasso.
You're right.
She's like the greatest female fighter, arguably of all time, and fighting the person that
Valentina is the biggest name of all of those.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to
Brandon
say.
Moreno
I'm not
is a
trying to
bigger
hate on
star in
Pantoja, but I'm
Mexico.
just saying that to me.
You're hating on that.
No, I'm not.
No.
You
I
just
get what
said
you're
if he
saying.
rang your doorbell.
I get
Yes.
what you're saying. I get
Dude,
what you're saying.
By the way, if Pantoja was here today in the office, you wouldn't know who he was. None of you would.
Kidding me.
None of you would.
I'm a connoisseur of flyweights. Please stop it. Stop this mess.
would not-
He is the flyweight.
You would say,
connoisseur.
"Do you have your
atrocity.
badge?"
Oh my god.
But
I'd say, Mr. Pantoja, could I get a picture, please?
you could put Brandon Moreno just like Alexa Grasso versus anybody, and he's going to be the biggest thing in Mexico. Brandon Moreno is like...
He's a hero there.
He's a hero.
He's a hero.
He's a legit hero.
I get that. He is the bigger star by himself, but I'm saying
And that's
More
what they're
than
going to do.
Valentina.
Main event, they're going to do that. Co-main,
Okay,
Valentina,
fine.
Alexa Grasso.
Fine.
We're already booking the card for him.
oh my god, that
Mexico
would be
City.
so good. Mexico.
And then
MMA Hour live show, Mexico
and then
City.
and then you talk about Yair, like, you know. Now, could they even do 3? I don't think they could do 3 title fights on a card, could they?
I mean, yeah, they've done it
That
before.
would become the main event.
Yeah, they've
wouldn't
done it before
Yair
when
Volk?
pay-per-views used to actually be good cards. Not in this era.
They've done it recently. Three title fights.
We had one. What was it?
268, I think, was 3 title fights.
That doesn't feel
Maybe
very
I'm
recent,
wrong.
but what was that?
Maybe I'm wrong.
There was 1 or 2. I mean, remember there was a stretch of like 15 years where they never did 3 title fights.
They need to spread them out a little more these days. I don't think they can afford to do 3.
I can't believe she submitted her, and especially like that with the freaking strength. It wasn't under the neck. And she still does it. Unbelievable. Under the chin. Sorry, under the chin. Unbelievable. We got 3 minutes till Stipe joins, or he might be joining in a moment.
Yeah, he's joining right now.
Shavkat, Mateus, Bo Nickal, Cody, Drickus. Who's Ian? Who stood out the most?
Oh, Shavkat.
Yeah, Shavkat Rachmanov.
Yeah.
Easy
Unbelievable.
question.
Unbelievable. To show how much success he had standing, it was such a fantastic watch.
Who wins, Shavkat or Khamzat?
Oh,
stop
give me that.
Stop.
What?
Give me that. You want to talk about the dream fight? There's the dream fight right there. I've been dreaming about that for years.
I love Shavkat, but we have to stop throwing everybody
Why?
against Khamzat. Like it's just
No, give me that fight.
I would love to see that.
He's
fight.
not the
That's
Khamzat
a title
Chimaev
fight.
is not the measuring stick for fights. I know everybody wants to call him out and everybody,
it's fun.
but he is a different. It's a different stratosphere. You got to
Can't
chill.
wait till he's
Shavkat or Colby?
Shavkat.
I don't know. I think people underrate Colby. I think he'd be competitive in that fight.
No doubt it'd be competitive.
I probably lean Shavkat.
I say Shavkat.
But I think that's a good fight.
All right. Well, we'll talk more about that and the rest of the card later in the show. For now, though, let's go to our first guest of the day. He was front and center at UFC 285. He was in the front row. He was talked about by the man who won in the main event, and now all of a sudden a part of maybe one of the bigger, if not biggest fights of the year, perhaps in July. He's the former UFC heavyweight champion. He's the most decorated heavyweight champion in UFC history. He's our old pal, Stipe Miocic, joining us now. Oh, he is looking forward to this. He has a colonoscopy later on this week. He's looking forward to that more than this.
Sure. I didn't know. I checked my schedule. I didn't know I had that, but sure.
No, I'm just kidding. It was a joke. I went extreme. You could go dentist route, but that's boring. So I went colonoscopy route.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
How are you? How was Vegas, Stipe?
It was good, man. Just it was busy and hiring at the same time, but also homesick because we missed the kids.
Yeah. How long were you there for?
Got there Thursday. We left right early in the morning. Left at 4:30 in the morning.
Oh gosh, on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah. When was your last time in Vegas? Was it the last time you fought there?
No, I was there International Fight Week, I believe.
Okay. You like going there?
Yeah.
It's all right.
I mean, yeah. I like being home.
Yeah. I agree. I feel the same way. So you were there front and center. Can I ask, I was just going on and on about what I was expecting from Saturday from Jon Jones. And I will be, man enough to admit I was not expecting that. I thought Ciryl would actually beat him, and I thought it wouldn't be very close. What were you expecting going into that fight?
No, I thought I was going with Ciryl the whole time, just in the beginning of the week. And then the more I talked about it with other people and the more I thought about it, I started more, I guess, even. I just said if Ciryl keeps out on the feet and picks him apart him all day, it's still going to be a good fight. I think it's going to be a great fight still. And then, but I thought if Jon uses wrestling, it's going to be a long night for Ciryl. But yeah, I was not ready for that. I thought it was going to be a good decision. I thought I was going to get, I think it's a big war for 5 rounds. I thought,
wow.
But I was definitely wrong. Good for Jon.
So safe to say you were blown away by that performance?
I mean, not blown away by the performance, but by him winning like that, yes.
Wow. I was blown away by it. Why weren't you?
I mean, to win, good for him. I don't know.
You weren't that impressed. Is it because maybe you don't rate Ciryl that high? No,
I do. I think he's a hell of a fighter. I think he's great. I just was, it happens. The fight before, though, I was surprised and going crazy.
Yes. Alexa Grasso with the submission win.
Yeah.
What about how Jon looked as a heavyweight? What did you make of that?
Big, big boy. He's 247.
Yeah. So
ready to fight. He's ready to fight with big boys.
Yeah. Do you feel like he looked good as a heavyweight, or do you feel like he needs to maybe, shed some of the weight? Like maybe that, fighting a guy like you or some of the other younger heavyweights, it would probably be better for him to be lighter.
Listen, one thing I've learned is you can never judge your book by its cover.
Yeah, that's true. Some of the best heavyweights of all time don't exactly have the best bods, right?
No, you're right. Look at Fedor. I mean, look at him. You look like typical dad bod, and that dude just destroyed people.
That's right. Shout out to the dad bods out there. Did you go out there? Did the UFC ask you to go out there, or was it your decision to go out there? Are you sitting in the because
they wanted me out there.
They wanted you out there, so you kind of knew that if he wins and all looks good, that he might mention you.
Yeah.
When they
they told me I would have winner. So.
Oh, really? Regardless.
Yeah.
Okay. And you were interested even if it was gone? Yeah,
of course. I mean, I want the best fight, but of course, Jon's a bigger fight just because of the legacy and biggest fight in heavyweight division. I think it'd be great between us, and so I wanted. But if it was Ciryl, I would be fine with that too.
Okay. And when you're there, do you know that they're putting you on camera when he's calling you out? Is there a guy right in your face? Okay.
Yeah, you can't really get away with that.
Okay. I didn't know if he was like super far back and they were zooming into you. And I love you do the whole I don't know if you do it on purpose, you kind of no-sold what he was saying about you in there. Do you do that on purpose because you don't want to give him any ammunition? What's going on in your mind when he's talking about you?
I don't care. I really don't care. I mean, listen, I get destroyed at the fire department. That's nothing new to me. That's nothing compared. So what they do to me, say to me at the fire station.
Right. But there's no part of you that wants to be like, come on, let's do it. Me and you, mano y mano, that type of thing.
Well, in July it will be.
Okay. So you say July. Is that what it's looking like?
Week.
Is that it?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Is that what they told you?
Yeah, it was all over the news. It's been all over the place.
I don't know.
You got to do your journalism, bro.
No, listen. People say things.
If you want to hire me, I can do your job too.
So this is happening. What is it? July 8th, I think it is, or July 9th? 10th. That weekend right there. Wow.
Yeah. I think it was a week before. I know. I think it's a week after.
No.
Usually after 4th of July.
Yeah. So that would be. Wait. Let me just get it because I don't want us to say
9th or 10th.
The 8th.
It is the 8th?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yes.
Oh, whatever. Okay, then the 8th.
Stipe, this is my birthday, July 8th. I don't know if you know this, but I feel like that's why you're asking for it to be on the 8th.
100%.
Wow.
I've been planning this for 2 years.
Well, I know. Did you talk to them, or did your manager Lloyd talk to them after the fight? Were there any chats afterwards?
No, not. Good question. I don't know. I was flying, so it was really early in the morning. So
Right.
the only text I got was like a bunch of interviews today, which I was super excited about.
I know. How many? Is it like 5 or something today?
Yeah, it might be my second one.
Oh my God. How was the first?
I was with Wyman, so that was fun. He's a nice guy.
Wow. What is that supposed to mean?
That was a joke. It was a joke.
I know. Lloyd told me you were doing 5. I was like, geez, Louise, this is like your quota for the year in one day.
I know, right? I'm done. Cash me out. I'm out.
I said before the interview here, I said, I feel like win or lose, and especially win, this is your last fight. There's nothing else for you to do. What are you going to do? You're going to stick around and fight like all the other new names at heavyweight? How true is this?
I don't know. I mean, listen, just how I feel. My body feels. I feel great. I'm 252 right now. I feel awesome.
Wow, 252. How much you usually weigh out of camp?
Well, I mean, under 240.
Okay, so you've added muscle.
Yes.
Okay. Any particular reason?
I just wanted to lift and be big.
Okay. You do this at the firehouse?
No, I mean, yes and no. I mean, not as much at the firehouse. I mean, I do work out there when I can, but we're real busy. But also, I mean, I'm still learning. Even though I know I'm doing it, I got to still learn everything we got to do, and just all the training that we have to train for ourselves to do there.
Yeah. So you have this fight in July. You win this fight. You really think there's anything out there that motivates you, that's of interest to you?
I mean, there's lots of things. I don't know, maybe become a golfer. I don't know.
Okay, but not in fighting. That's it.
I don't know. I didn't know where you're going with the question.
I don't know. It feels like you sail off into the sunset after this. What a way to go out.
Maybe not. I don't know, man. You listen. I don't know. After every fight since my first one, I thought about retiring.
Yeah, I know. You've said that before. What about Jon Jones at the press conference saying, hey, with all due respect, I mean, this one had to have annoyed you, right? With all due respect, take some time off from firefighting. You need to be focused because I'm focused on finishing you before the championship round. Did you hear this?
Yeah. I think everyone tries to say that, and then they realize they're in a world of hurt when it's not happening the way they want. And I don't know if he knows this, but I've been a fireman the whole time. I've been in my career, UFC, but whatever. That's none of my business.
No, it is your business. He's actually talking about your business.
I don't really care. No, it's none of my business because I don't care.
Yeah. But did you feel like that's like, don't tell me what to do in my spare time?
I mean, I guess it is what it is. I mean, she's trying to pump himself up, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I really wish I could have good answers for you. I know you're trying to dig and find.
No, when I heard that, I was like, yeah, I feel like I get what he was trying to do. Great. From a trash talk perspective, from a journalist perspective, I was like, oh, this is good. This is juicy stuff. But from a Stipe paper, and now I'm putting myself in your shoes, I was like, that might annoy me.
No, a lot of things annoy me.
No. How do you feel about Jon?
My wife knows how to annoy me real well. So.
Okay. What does she do? Take out the garbage, change the diaper?
Oh, yeah, it's constant. Yeah, it's constant. So. It's all love. I love her. She does it on purpose, just because I pretty much do it to her on a constant 24/7. So,
sure.
Yeah. That's what marriage is all about.
Of course. Yeah. A little give, a little take. Is she happy you're coming back?
Yeah. I mean, she's like, do you want to do it? I'm like, hell yeah. She's like, she's making sure I'm good. She knows what it's going to entail. It's going to be a lot of sacrifice. And, so we got 2 kids now as well.
Yeah. But being there on set, like when you're there, the bright lights, Vegas, you're being called out. Does that get your blood boiling?
Yeah, I would love it, man. It's the fans. That's what gets it, man. Just sitting there backstage and the weigh-ins, and then walking out to the fight and just going crazy, and just it's cool. It's a great feeling. It's a feeling you can't explain. Yeah,
no, I bet. You feel alive, and you don't have many of those left, right? There's like an expiration date, so you want to get as many.
Man, geez,
I'm just
really hammering
no. I feel like
we'll dude. Turn the page, man. Turn the page.
I'm trying to say, like, we're not guaranteed anything, so you gotta appreciate.
I'm not guaranteed tomorrow.
I'm trying to build it up. This is a big deal. This could be the last time we see the greatest
Dr.
heavyweight of
Phil,
all time.
Pump the brakes. Pump the brakes, Dr.
All
Phil.
right, fine. Weidman didn't bring that up, did he?
Wow. What's that?
Weidman didn't bring that up when you spoke to him, right? He was probably talking about your golf game.
He appreciates my golf game. It's terrible. It's horrendous. I'm getting better. It's getting better.
Yeah. No, I'm not trying to kick you out. I'm just trying to see if this is it, because to me, then it makes it an even bigger special attraction.
Maybe not.
How do you think the fight goes? Can you give us some insight? What are you thinking?
I'm going to win. There's no question.
Yeah? You think
There's no question about it.
No question.
No question. Win.
Jon Jones has never lost before.
I know that. It sucks, but he's going to lose. He's got a big one.
Just one. Wow. Could you imagine that? You're the guy.
No, I'm not going to imagine it. It's going to happen.
I love it. I love it. Did you look at his last few performances before this one?
No, I really don't watch fights unless it's the one I know.
Will you watch them?
Yeah, I mean, my coaches will. I mean, they'll go over the game plan. It's hard to go over film from 3 years ago, but everyone has tendencies and stuff like that. So just like me, I'm fine too, but I still have tendencies. So it just definitely gonna break it down and see what the best we can do.
So that's what I was going to ask. Do you feel like there's value in watching Jon Jones the light heavyweight as you're preparing for Jon Jones the heavyweight? Same guy, different weight class, or do you feel like there's no point in doing all of that?
No, there is. There definitely is. I mean, you got to see how he moves. Even though he's heavier, he's still. Oh, sorry.
No, gotcha.
Still the same way. You move, and I mean, just, like you said, everyone has tendencies. Even if you move up in a way, nothing's going to change. It's just you can't. You have things you do that you're never going to lose.
Mm. And just curious, based on Cyril's performance, do you feel like the moment got to him, or is that
yes,
you do?
100%.
Oh wow! Can you tell me about that? Well, why do you?
I don't know. I just think he just got caught up in the moment. I guess in the bright lights, and just I don't think he expected everything that happened that it did, and fortunately, we all been there.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you been there? When have you been there?
I don't know. I'm just saying we all get caught up in the moment.
Yeah, just the thing that you say. Maybe Stefan Struve in Nottingham.
Yeah, that was for sure.
Yeah, the moment got you there.
Oh yeah, definitely. No, I mean he definitely beat me. There's no question. It just maybe it was. I don't. It was so long ago, man. I was
12 freaking years ago.
Oh, 12. And I miss those days. That's when I was young and party.
Yeah. Would you party the week of the fight? No, you wouldn't.
No. No.
Jon Jones does that.
Good for him. God bless him. We better not party. He better work on his training.
But all right, so it looks like he's reinvigorated. It looks like he's pumped up. Like this is good for everyone, right? Jon Jones back.
I'm pumped up. I'm ready to go.
You're ready to go. July. And how close to done deal is this? July 8th.
Well, I mean, they told me yes, and now he's getting the contract.
Yeah, they got to pay the piper though. All right. Are you going? What are we going to do here? Do you need me?
No.
Do you need me in these meetings?
You're going to take over my man. Do the managing, and I'll do the journalism.
Oh, that would be great. I don't think Lloyd would appreciate that. You have one of the best in the business by your side, but I'm just wondering if he needed backup. You guys can call me. I'll be on speakerphone. I'll tell those guys what's what. They need to pay you.
I think having you there with Dana would totally make him so happy.
Yeah, I think so too. Listen, you don't want your management to be friends with Dana. That's the wrong move, right? You want some tension.
Yeah, right. I get it. No, I see where you're going. I like it a lot.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'll talk to him. I'll talk to Lloyd later and let him know.
Oh, this is great. Stipe Miocic versus Jon Jones. This is like one of those video game fights.
Hmm?
A fight we never thought would happen.
Yeah, me too.
Are you surprised that Francis left?
I mean, sucks. I wish I would have fought him and got a rematch, but fortunately, that's not the way it happened. And wish him nothing but the best, and whatever he does with the rest of his career.
Do you think there's a chance you beat Jon? He says, "All right, I'll come back."
I mean, yeah, it'd be great.
Wow, so you'd be coming out of retirement, and he'd be coming back from boxing.
Well, I never said I was in retirement, so enough with this. God. I mean, wow! I saw where you're going with that. I saw that.
It was a little.
I see it. I see it working. I see it working.
Yeah. Well, I just think there's nothing left for you to prove after a win over Jon Jones. But if you want to fight for another 5 years, God bless. Make that money.
Right? I mean, we'll see. I'm just, right now, it's like focus one fight at a time, man. It's honest. I've always been like that. Nothing's ever changed. And like you said before, you know, I'm always talking about retiring after this is my first fight.
Yeah. And this will be your first fight as a full-time firefighter, right?
Yeah, but nothing's different. I mean,
will you go with a reduced schedule? Can you even do that? How does that work?
no, I'll be fine. I mean, I'll work it out and make sure I have the time out that I need and be good.
It won't be too much to handle?
No.
No concerns?
No.
What about like the week of the fight? You just take vacation? How does that work?
Yeah, I'll have vacation time.
Wow. They wouldn't just give it to you on the house? Gratis?
No. I wish, but no. You know, everyone's the same.
Is it better for you if it happens sooner rather than later? Like you don't want this fight to happen in September, October. You want it next 4 months?
No, I don't care. Honestly, I don't care. Just, you know, preferably in July because, you know, that's my mind's up right now. But if we got to wait a little longer, I waited long enough. So
yeah.
I'm ready to go.
Do you feel disrespected by the fact that you're a pretty big underdog right now, according to the odds makers?
Nothing new.
Nothing new. You like this spot. Better this way, right?
Always.
Knockout?
We'll find out.
Okay. Well, this is exciting, Stipe. Welcome back.
Yeah.
When's the next interview?
Could be better. 2:30 with my buddy Mojo on TMZ.
Oh, great. Those will be easy questions.
Oh, he's a great dude. I love that guy.
Wow. I feel like you wouldn't say the same about me if they asked you.
I do like you. Stop.
Wow.
You're a great guy.
Thank you, Stipe. Appreciate it. Well, I'm happy you're back. This is a big time fight. This feels big. It feels important. My birthday. Thank you for that honor. I appreciate you doing that. Wow. International fight. This is an international fight week main event. Sometimes they're a little comme ci, comme ça. This one feels befitting of International Fight Week. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I feel you.
Last thing, Jon Jones, big fan of the show. Any message you want to send to Jon Jones, Stipe?
Oh, see you in July, my friend.
All right. I love it. Thank you, Stipe. Good luck to you, my friend. Appreciate you doing this as always.
Hey, buddy. Thanks for having me.
All right. There he is. The one and only, the pride of Ohio. OH. Stipe Miocic. You got to love it. So what is he? What did GC say? Stipe. Not even on here, GC. He's not on best fight odds. They didn't put him up. They have Curtis Blades. They have Izzy. No Stipe.
Are you looking at the odds?
Yeah.
Stipe plus 285.
Plus 285. I wonder when's the last time he opened. It's that big of a underdog.
Man, it's like ever.
Yeah.
Like when was the last time he was a plus 300? I'm telling.
Chris Weidman. This fucking guy. He just you see this?
No.
Chris Weidman. This fucking guy. Breaking news from the Chris Weidman show, which by the way doesn't even air until 5 p.m. Breaking news, Stipe Miocic confirms that the UFC has contacted him to fight Jon Jones for the heavyweight championship at International Fight Week. Source won't back down radio with Chris Weidman. Chris retweeted that and wrote, haha, hashtag breaking news Ariel Helwani. I mean, you got to be kidding me. His show didn't air yet. I was first.
Junior Dos Santos fight plus 370 back in 2014.
Wow.
Lost via unanimous decision.
Yeah, I remember that. That was the last time he opened as the underdog.
No. That was the last time he was this big of an underdog.
Okay, got it.
He was the underdog in the last Ngannou fight.
Okay.
But this is wide odds.
He closes
Maybe not wide, but big underdog.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, plus 370.
Man, there's something about that Jon Jones trash talk. He's very underrated when it comes to trash talk, and him talking about the firefighter stuff, I feel like was... But it was good. I liked it. And what about that trench coat he was rocking? Did you see that? What was that thing?
Wait, trench coat?
Yes.
I didn't see it.
With the leather straps and everything at the post-fight presser.
Oh, Jon Jones. I thought you were talking about Mitch. It's just...
No, Mitch he's wearing like a colored shirt.
And a backwards hat.
Yeah.
Huh.
You guys don't remember this?
I don't notice it.
What do you mean you don't notice it?
I didn't notice that it was a trench coat. But I also think Jon Jones, in his heart of hearts, wants Stipe Miocic to not be worried about fighting fires and focus on him. Like it borders on trash talk.
No.
Like also like I think Jon Jones.
You think he's looking out?
I've said this about Hamzat before. I truly believe that Jon Jones is like an extremely motivated and violent person in the cage, and that helps him be as great as he is. And I truly believe he goes in there with like a sense of wanting to go to battle. Like, I think he wants the best Stipe Miocic, and I think he's a little bit like off his rocker in that way, that he really wants Stipe to be as good as he possibly can be, so that when he wins,
Sure,
he feels
that
like he
there's
dominated this like unconquerable beast. Like, I think
no excuses.
He derives such like meaning and motivation in his life from it that like it would be disappointing if he didn't get the best Stipe.
I mean, he was chilling with my guy David Goggins before the
Yeah.
fight. David Goggins was calling him crazy. I mean, I have to say, I watched all the embeddeds and everything.
Yeah.
Like, however you feel about Jon Jones, his work ethic is pretty inspiring. The way that he talks about his craft,
Sure,
is pretty crazy.
Well, that's the thing that I've said in the past, and I actually think Jon is. I don't know this for a fact, but I get the sense that he's mad at me right now, and we've been, going. I've been covering Jon Jones for a very long time, maybe more than anyone in terms of the amount of interviews that I've done with him. But I remember when the thing happened at the beginning of the pandemic, when he got into some legal trouble.
Yeah.
And I was on ESPN Daily with Pablo Torre, the man, and we were talking about it because, let's be honest, there wasn't a lot going on in the world of sports at that point. It was like late March 2020. So, UFC was very much a thing to talk about,
prominent
because there was a lot of stuff. Yeah, it was like opening Sports Center and shit. Never happened, never will happen. Anyway, like for random news, I said something in the clip, and they clipped it off, where I said, I said the same thing that I said at the beginning of the show, which was, if you do the PED thing, obviously he can't be in that discussion, but if everyone was included, he's the greatest. And I said, be careful about letting Jon Jones's issues outside the cage affect how you feel about him as an MMA fighter, because one should have nothing to do with the other. Now, could affect how you feel about him as a person, could affect how you want to root for him or not. You know what I mean? But in terms of like what he has done, the body of work as far as wins and losses and against two and how, none of that stuff, as polarizing, abhorrent, critical, whatever you want to say about it, like as bad as they all are, none of that should have any effect on how we feel about him as the athlete. And him as the athlete is second to none. And
But
so
even him, right? You're saying the distractions, the turmoil in his life doesn't affect the work product, right? Like when he steps in the cage, he's fully prepared and at the peak of his game, which is kind of wild, because those two things often don't go hand in hand.
that's the part that impresses me the most. As I said last week, when the rubber meets the road, at
He
some
always shows
point,
up.
yes, at some point though, I thought the freaking tire would fall off, right? I
because-
thought that it would happen at some point, and it hasn't happened yet. And he's 35. This is when it happens.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right?
there's so much history. Every other person that is true for, right? They get slow, they get old, they get unmotivated. There's too much turmoil in the personal life, but he seems to be unaffected by it. But I think it's this like relentless like I truly believe that Jon Jones like defines himself as a warrior and takes great pride in what he is displaying in the cage. And so, yeah, he won't take shortcuts on that. I think that is one of the things that means the most in his life, and he will never take shortcuts on that. He'll take shortcuts in life and do other things, but when it comes to that product and showing up and dominating competition, I don't know. I think he's going to be on top for a while.
He's just so motivated. Like in the embedded, I think the clip went viral of him watching Cyril Gane playing FIFA, and he's just like eating his food, and it's like almost like he's just like stewing with anger that like he's playing video games during a camp, and he's just like, they're just happy to be here. That's all it is. Like they signed the contract. They think that there's a chance that they could take food off my family's table, destroy my legacy. He's like, at the end of the day, the job is to be merciless. It's just like,
One thing
take
that
it
I'll say about Team Gane, and maybe this is a small example, and maybe it means nothing, but I did think it was interesting when I asked them when this fight was announced for him to come on. They said he's not going to do a lot of media. He's only going to do the stuff that the UFC asks him to do because they don't want any drama leading up to the fight. And I was thinking, like, you need to embrace all of this. This is where you capitalize on the opportunity to fight Jon Jones. And maybe you could say, all right, you'll do that after the fact once you beat him. But to me, I was like, you guys spoke before the Francis fight, and that had way more drama attached to it. Like, that was the team at odds. That was your coach in the middle of all this stuff. You guys are are shying away from this. Does this moment feel too big? Are you too nervous? Like it made me think, not enough to feel like he wasn't going to win. I'm just going back now to conversations and to moments. And I thought the most telling part of that interview, by the way, was how quickly Stipe said, competitor to competitor, that in his mind, the moment swallowed him up. That was like the most definitive thing Stipe said.
Yeah, I could believe that to be true, but you pointed to it yourself. They did a lot of media before the Francis fight, and maybe they thought that was detrimental to the fight, that he wasn't focused enough, that he wasn't good enough.
All he had to do was win one more round. He fought a better fight against Francis than he did against Jon.
What? Way better. It wasn't even close.
You know what I mean?
Compare him.
Way better.
This was on one knee, style matchups.
Still, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, he was one round away from getting the heavyweight strap put around his waist. And on Saturday, it was a no-show. It was like the fight didn't even happen.
By the way,
I think he needed to focus harder. He shouldn't have even done the interview.
I don't know if any amount of focusing.
Yeah, I
should have skipped.
I don't even know. Honestly, I feel like if he would have done 100 interviews,
yeah, it wouldn't.
If you were like at a 5 in terms of excitement for this fight on July 8th, apparently, after the interview, where are you at right now? Like, are we at
a 5?
5? No,
it hasn't moved.
But I'm not at a 5.
7.
I'm at a 9. I can't.
I'm at a 9.5.
I mean, I can't.
After the interview?
Yes.
So do you
I might have lost interest.
Oh, stop.
Do you think Stipe is going to follow your rule and text you before 10 a.m. Happy birthday? With the big
on the day of?
Yeah.
I think so. I think our relationship is
Hold on, guys. Before we go to breakfast, let me text Ariel.
DC called me at 6 before one of his fights. All right, let's get to our next guest. Big win for him on Saturday. Remains undefeated 11-0. Big week for him as well. What a time it is to be Ian Machado Garry. He joins us right now to talk about it all. There's the man. How are you, sir?
Hey, sir. How are you? How you getting on?
Listen, you're a big deal. Now all of a sudden you win on a pay-per-view in Las Vegas. Your father, you could show up late. I remember. I remember the first time. I remember the first time Connor was late too.
Okay, look at this. I've been on time almost every time.
I know. Now you're a big shot. Now you're a big shot.
You know that Layla has me here, sat down 5 minutes before I'm ready to go, and we're just setting things up pretty for you. That's all.
Sure. I mean, yeah, you're 11 minutes late. That's better than 15 minutes late. No problem. It's all good. Listen, this is what happened. There she goes with your baby right in the back. I think that was your baby, right? Was she holding the baby?
It was, yeah. Ariel's blaming you for being 7
No,
minutes
I'm not.
late.
That is not nice.
That's what he did.
I do not want the wrath of a new mom. No, thank you. Well, congratulations, my friend. What a week for you. Holy smokes. First, can I ask, like, we saw the scenes of you and Connor in the back. Was that the first time you saw Connor in person since the picture at the suit store?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was. It was obviously coming out here, I knew that he was filming Tough. And I said to myself, I don't care how, I'm gonna cross paths him at one point in time. And yeah, at the weigh-ins, I was just about to do an interview, and the guys from BT Sport were like, Ian Connor's here. I was like, all right, where is he? And they were like, oh, we don't know. I was like, but he's in the building. I was like, okay. And then one of the guys goes, Ian, points, and I just went, all right, see ya. I'm not waiting for some like crossing at the bar. I'm going to make sure it happens myself. I went up to him and he's like, oh, Ian. It was pretty awesome. Even the fact that when I turned the corner, he instantly was like, Eno, there you are.
Wow. What does that mean?
Eno.
Eno.
It's just what people call me.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. But it was just cool to see him he shook my hand and he started pounding my chest, telling me I'm a champion, that I'm going to be a champion, that he appreciates all the love and respect and support I've given him. And I just said to him, you motivated me to be here. I can't do enough to get back to you.
To have that meeting, to have that little chat before this massive fight, did you feel like you were even more revved up for it? Like, did it give you a boost?
100%. I mean, he's the guy that inspired my entire nation to want to fight and train MMA. I mean, the scenes when Conor was on the rise was nuts, and I'm that kid who was the first of a generation to make it into UFC because of his run. And for me to have that and to move forward and to see him and go into a fight week knowing that he's saying that he's going to be there, that he's behind me, that he's with me. It's like, that's pretty empowering for a young man who's hearing that from the guy that inspired him.
Mm-hmm. My understanding was you wanted to be on this card more so than in 2 weeks in London. Why is that?
Yeah. Jon Jones.
Jon
Jones. 100%. If you look at the card, firstly, I'd much rather fight in Vegas than London. I enjoyed Vegas. I enjoyed being around the PI. I enjoyed the ability to be able to go and get therapy and meet these amazing people and have the ease and the lifestyle of what Vegas brings as opposed to London. It's also closer to where I train, which is Florida. And I enjoy the atmosphere around the fight nights in Vegas, especially in pay-per-views. And to know that I'm going to be sharing the card with the GOAT was something that I wanted off my kind of bucket list, is to share the card with Jon Jones. This year, I'm going to share the card with my two favorite fighters. I'm going to share it with Jon Jones, which is done, and I'm going to get to share it with Conor towards the end of this year.
You're shooing for that card.
For sure. It has to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It would be silly not to do it.
Exactly. It doesn't make sense to not have that kind of Irish, that Irish allegiance show.
What was your conversation like with Jon?
So I was walking through the Apex when we were doing media day, and he was like, "Oh, it's a baby," and he's like, stood up, and he's like, "Can I hold him?" I was like, "Of course you can." And then he turned to me, he's like, "Hey, how are you?" I was like, "Good, no complaints." He's like, "Undefeated, right?" I'm like, "Fuck." I'm like, "Layla, he knows." And Layla's like, "Don't say it out loud." I'm like, "Why?" I was like, "Jon Jones knows that I'm undefeated." And he's like, "No, I've watched your fights." He's like, "You're really, really solid." And I said to him, I take a lot of your game and try to implement it into what I do. And he was like, "Oh, really?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "That's a huge compliment." I was like, "Well, you're the best to ever do it, in my opinion." I was like, "You're the GOAT." I was like, "So why wouldn't I want to look at what you do and what you've had success with and add it into my style in any way, shape, or form?" And even when you look at the fight that I just had on Saturday, a lot of the things I did were from watching Jon Jones.
Oh, like what?
Well, you see, towards the end of the second round, I started to kind of open my arms out and start touch Song's hand and then put a jab straight down the middle. And that was because when you reach out to someone, they can't just keep their hands here because you're dominating the hand fight, right?
Uh-huh.
So they have to reach back, which means they've opened up their guard. Now, they're thinking about the hands, which means you can start to stab and chop at the leg. And I started using that stab kick to the knee, which is something we've seen Jon Jones have a lot of success with. I think Joe Rogan calls it the elliptical kick. And then just being nice and long and rangy and just being patient. I spoke to Jon about his patience. It's a skill in and of itself. When you're in a fight and adrenaline's rushing through your body and you've got a man in front of you who's got aggression in his eyes and wants to hit you as hard as they can, it's a skill to be able to be patient and know when to go for the finish. And I believe Jon is one of the very best to ever do it. And I always see that when I watch his fights. And I think the best example is the Daniel Cormier fight. When he caught him with the head kick and Daniel was on wobbly legs, he just kind of stalked him, put his hands out, made it awkward, and then caught him with a leg kick, sent him spinning. And even then, he still didn't jump on him. He followed him, he stalked him, wait till he fell down, and then he pounced. And that's a skill that a lot of young fighters around my age and even veterans have yet to master. And I believe I'm working on it and I'm mastering it to an extent. And it's because I see someone like him have so much success that I want to emulate it into my game.
What happened towards the end of the first round?
So I was a fucking idiot. That's what happened. I said to myself, if you even watch the corner, I went back and told my corner exactly what happened. And I was like, it's my fault. I fucked up. I done a shot that I knew would put me at danger. And I didn't, I don't know why I did it. I went jab to the body and then I went jab high. And every time I was going high, he was bringing his elbows up. He didn't want any damage on his face. So he started bringing his elbows up. So I ripped the body with the right, and I'm like, fuck, I could see him down if I go for a left liver shot. And then I went, yeah, don't do that. Because, you'll leave yourself open for a left hook or a big power shot. And then I fucking did it anyway. So it's my fault for getting a bit greedy. And And I've no one else to blame other than myself. And I knew it before I threw the shot. I still threw it because I got greedy. And that's where you, again, have to bring yourself back and be composed. And that was one of the first times I've ever made a big mistake in my career. And I won't do it again.
How buzzed were you?
So I got cracked. I didn't even know I got like sat down. I thought I got dropped to a knee, which is, again, just shows me how aware I was in this situation, because I got cracked and then I was just looking for the cage. Get me to the cage, get me to the cage, get me to the cage. I knew he was hitting me with some ground and pound shots from the side. They didn't bother me. None of them were going to knock me out. If he didn't knock me out with the first one, he's definitely not going to knock me out with those little ones. So for me, it was just like, don't worry, don't stress. Like, you've been hit, it's okay. Get to the cage, work your way back up. When you get to the cage, he's going to have to wrestle. If he tries to stand away and break away and strike, which is what most people will do, great, I'll move. I'm way faster than people. I don't care if I've been a bit buzzed. I'll get out.
Okay.
I'm quick. And if I want to use my hands to kind of be a barrier, I will. So it was a great shot. It was like, when you look at the slow-mo of it was perfect. So I made a mistake. He capitalized and I recovered well. So if anything, it just shows that not only do I talk the talk and walk the walk, but when something goes wrong and adversity needs to be overcome, I overcome it and I pass it with flying colors, because in round 2 and round 3, I fucking lit him up.
Yeah.
So, and even in round 1, I dominated that entire fight from start to finish, except from that one shot that led to him having a little bit of success. Other than the mistake that I made, he didn't have success.
I thought he made a critical mistake afterwards by, trying to get you up against the cage and doing what he was doing. Had he separated, perhaps he would have had more success, right? They mentioned that on the broadcast. I was thinking, wow, what a mistake this is.
I mean, when you rock someone and they're kind of, not necessarily they don't know where they are, because when I got hit, there's 2 or 3 kind of ways a fighter will fall. They'll either fall stiff and they're out. They'll kind of be a bit wobbly and not know where they are, or they get cracked and they kind of see that flash. I kind of seen that flash. It was just like, whoa, okay, that was a good shot. And what I remembered was just looking at him and then rolling to my knees. That was what I remembered. And when you look back at it, you can see when I'm going down, I start to make eye contact with him. And that shows, okay, it was a good shot. I got caught, but I'm still in it.
Okay. When
we stood up, it was me pushing him to the cage, not the other way around. So I was the one who forced him to the cage, because I knew, 1, if I am on wobbly legs, I've got a little bit of support behind me. 2, I'm comfortable here. I feel comfortable wrestling against the cage, because out in the open, we've seen many, many people where they capitalize on jumping on a choke or jumping on something. When you get to the cage, it kind of shuts down that kind of avenue of jumping on stuff. You have to be a bit more methodical with your approach, because they can defend themselves better. So in all of that, where I was caught, I was put down, and I reacted and I recovered, everything I did was still right. And absolutely, had he have broken away, would he have more success? I believe so, yes. But that's not to say that the second he breaks away that I wouldn't have started opening up shots on him. So we don't know. But if it was me, I would have potentially looked to go like to pull me on my back, like to pull me flat. And for him to let go of the grips and stand up and start doing what I did on the finish, which is just try to hammer fist away. I believe when he joined his hands was the reason that he was where he failed.
I saw you posted a photo of him afterwards, and some people didn't like that.
I don't give a fuck. At the end of the day, I've spoke about this multiple times. The only thing that brings not an animosity, but a sense of aggression towards my opponent is knowing that they have signed a contract which believes that that person thinks they can beat me. I take that personally. I'm like, okay, so you think you can beat me? I'm going to show you can. And that's all I ever have to do. I don't have to worry about anyone else. I don't have to worry about all this top 10 or anyone who's calling me out or anything else. I signed a contract to fight one guy, and he signed it to fight me. I signed it knowing I can win that fight, knowing that I can beat that person. And I believe that anyone who signs a contract against me believes the same thing. So I take it personally. I'm like, okay, let me show you you can. Let me prove to you that you're not good enough. to do what you think you can do. So when I posted that photo, that's my art. That's my work. That's what I've just gone out and done. This is martial arts. It's an art form. It's a way of utilizing and manipulating my physical body to absolutely lump around another human who's trained and trying to do the same thing to me. And it's basically like Kenan's song was my canvas. And that was the work of art that I had done, was the damage on his face. And when you look at a lot of my opponents, they always look like that. They always look like that because I just pick away at them. All my shots, I'm not one of those people who comes out and swings haymakers. Everything is cool and calculated. And they're stiff, they're strong, like they hurt. If you look at all four of my opponents in the UFC, they've all come out with like welts on their face or on their legs, or like everything that they've been cut up, they've been bruised, they've been bloody. It's just what I do. I hit hard, I hit fast, and I hit very accurate. And I find it beautiful what I did in that cage.
Speaking of that, and speaking of comparisons, the uppercut that you threw towards the end reminded me a lot of Conor. The way you said that, you know what I mean? Like how you were so precise with it, and the way you set it up. Yes, was very Conor-like. By the way, did you see him afterwards? Did you speak to him at all? He was in the building, of course. Any interaction?
No, he was in the building. I didn't see him or speak to him afterwards. I know he tweeted saying "your little days," which is cool again. But no, I didn't cross paths with him. I'm very grateful and very blessed to have been able to cross paths with him for once in 1 week. Do you know what I mean? More than once would be even more special. But I'll take what I got. I'm very happy that we even got that little interaction.
What was up with this guy? Speaking of people thinking they could beat you, it seemed like you were waiting in line somewhere, and this dude's saying like, "Don't try me." What is this guy all about?
This fucking idiot, right? I'm stood there with my whole team, right? I'm stood there with about 8-9 people, and Grandma Khabib came up to me. I was like, "Hey, Ian, can I have a photo?" I was like, "Of course you can, yeah." So we started talking, we started chatting. She was like, "You know who I really need to get?" And I'm like, "Who?" She's like, "Conor, but God, those tickets are going to be so expensive." I was like, "Well, you can still wait outside." And while I'm chatting with her, I just hear this guy shouting and screaming from coming through like where all the cars were. And he's like, "Bro, that's the easiest fucking 50K I've ever made in my life." He's like, "I'm fucking awesome." And he's just screaming and shouting. And I don't know why he's off his face or what he was doing. But then he just bumped into me. And I just turned around to him and went, hey, relax. And he turns around and goes, "Oh, what?" I'm like, huh? And I just laugh. And I'm like, I just start laughing. And I look at him, I'm like, "Sorry?" And he's like, "Oh, what?" He's like, "I'm a fighter. I do this shit." I'm like, "Oh, really?" "Yeah. Really? You do this shit?" He's like, "Yeah, you don't want any of this smoke." And then his fat little mate is stood there in his fucking pink blazer going, "Yeah, you don't want any of this." I'm like, Meanwhile, Layla's just stood there in front of me with the baby going, "Ian, if you do anything, you lose your visa. You're not going to be able to fight here." And I'm just like eyeballing this guy at this point. And Layla's looking at me going, "Is he moving?" I'm like, "No. And if he moves a step closer, I'm going to fucking kick him in the balls." And I just started emptying my pockets. Because I was like, the way I looked at him, it looked like he was on like coke or something because he wasn't thinking. So I just slowly emptied my pockets and was just like trying to pass them back because I was going to just drop it and go, "If you come closer to me." I'm here with all my friends and family. Like my wife's there, my baby's there. I've got my nutritionist. I've got my strength and conditioning coach. I've got teammates. I've got my management there. I'm like, if this guy's going to fucking look at me like that and try to be a dick in front of all these, I could hear people going, "Does this guy fucking know who he was talking to?" I'm like, it was so funny.
Sounds like he didn't, right?
There's no way there's no way, because if he did, he would have shot himself the minute I looked at him. But he was off his face. And it was just like, Ariel, I've never been in a fight outside the octagon because I'm too smart. But like, it took everything in me with the way he was eyeballing me not to go at him. It was like, he wanted to kill me with the way he looked at me. And I was like, "I'm going to put you unconscious. If you take one step forward, or say one more word, I'm going to end you." But I had to keep it cool because I'm a professional athlete and this isn't how it'd be a bad rep for the sport and everything. And so it's just like, just stand there, look him in the eyes. If he wants to kind of measure with me, fine. At the end of the day, there's no way he's going to win. So leave him be. I'm sure he went off and had a great night.
What are the chances you fight April 8th in Miami?
I'd like to think very high. I'd love to fight in April 8th. Obviously, I don't know if the UFC will be able to turn around that much. I spoke to Sean Shelby before March 4th, telling him I wanted April 8th as well, that I'm going to go in here, I'm going to finish this fight, and I'm not going to get injured. And he said, we'll see what we can do. Obviously, let's take March 4th and see how you get on, because you never know with a fight. It's a fight at the end of the day. You could break your hand with one shot. So when I got on the mic afterwards, I was like, hey, Sean, Dana, Hunter, let's make this happen. I mean, I live half an hour from where we're fighting. Let's get it on. I mean, to turn around in 5 weeks and have 2 performances, 2 finishes back to back after being away from the sport, to take time out to be a dad and to be there for my wife. It's a nice way to kind of get the ball rolling again and show the MMA world that I'm back and that I'm here to stay.
Do you have a preference as to who you would fight?
I wanted to fight Brian Barberena because I called him out.
Yeah.
But he obviously took the short notice fight against Gunnar Nelson. There's people I'm looking at. I've seen Michael Moraes. He's an undefeated 14-0. I've seen him comment eye emojis on my post. I'm game for that. There's other people then when I look at it, like Alex Morono, he's got a 4-fight win streak. It'd be nice to kind of go in and take on someone of his caliber. I know I've seen people online tag me and Nico Price. It's like, at the end of the day, I don't really give a fuck. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of people that offer different skill sets, different stylistic matchups. And that's on Sean Shelby and the UFC to go, right, we want to give you this guy and see what he's going to test you. At the end of the day, a lot of people do this online and they don't sign the contracts. So if Sean Shelby sends me a contract with anybody's name on it, I'll sign it, I'll send it off, and I'll fight in April 8th. That's my goal. I want to do it. I don't see why I couldn't make that happen.
What was it like to fight as a father for the first time, and not only that, have your son there?
Oh, Ariel, it was hella emotional. The morning, so the afternoon of my fight at around like 1 o'clock, I had a good cry outside by the pool.
Wow.
Just thinking, I was thinking, like I was just looking at my wife while she was jiggling my baby to sleep, and I'm looking at him going, fuck, I wish one of my best mates was here. He's the godfather of Leo, my boy. And I was like, I wish he was here. And I kind of got emotional about him because I look up to him as like an older brother figure. And I lost my older brother, so I got emotional about that, thinking about, oh, I wish he was here. And like my family and kind of the people I looked up to were always with me. Had a little cry about that. And then my wife sent me a photo while I was back in the dressing room about an hour before I was fighting. And it was her holding my little boy up outside the T-Mobile Arena in front of the UFC sign. And I seen it, and just tears of joy came to my face. I started sobbing in the back of the change room. I was showing my corner. I was like, look at this photo. And they're like, oh, wow, that's beautiful. And I'm like, all right. It just, nothing is more important than my little boy and my wife and my family and everyone being happy and safe and healthy. And for them to be there to support me, to do what I love to do more than anything else in life, which is fight, is just amazing. It's the best feeling, knowing that my wife and son are up in the stands, enjoying watching, daddy and husband in the cage, living what he likes to do the most. It's my favorite thing in the world to go into the octagon, and I don't fight for anyone else other than myself. It's my passion. It's my love. It's what gets me up in the morning. And for them to get any ounce of excitement or joy from me fighting is just, it's pretty special.
That is lovely. And you could tell how much it means to you. And I appreciate that very much. By the way, I saw afterwards in that snazzy tuxedo, you talking to your teammate, Michael Chandler. Is this going to get awkward? What's going to happen? I mean, he knows where your allegiances lie, right? Did you tell him, hey, Mike, I like you and all, but I'm not rooting for you in September or whenever they fight?
I don't think I need to say that. At the end of the day, firstly, I'm a fan of the sport, right? I'm a fan of MMA, and I think it's a great stylistic matchup. I think it's a great matchup for the fans. I think that nobody loses this fight. because one, both guys are going to change their families again. Not that Conor necessarily needs it, but more money isn't a bad thing. But like for both guys to go in there, like this is going to be one of the biggest fights. It'll be the biggest fight of this calendar year, without a shadow of a doubt. They'll both make a heap load of money. The winner will obviously go up the ranks and get one step closer to a title shot. And the fans are the real winner, because Chandler has arguably had the 5 best fights in the UFC. When you look at from your debut to your current fight, every single fight he's been in has been an absolute barn burner, and the fans have enjoyed every single second of it. Then you've got the greatest showman that we've ever seen in the sport going head to head. Conor's my inspiration. He's a fellow countryman. He's inspired and motivated so many kids my age and people of all ages in Ireland to be better and to follow their dreams and do what it is that they love. So my allegiance isn't argued. It's Team Conor. But I still want to see Chandler do well. I still want to see an exciting fight. I was saying to him when I seen him, I was like, do me one favor, Chandler. Do me one favor. Don't go wild. Because he gets into that octagon and it's like he has no understanding of what fight IQ is. And he just goes, smash. Let's just swing everything I have into every shot. And if you do that with Conor, he's going to knock you out. He's going to clip you. He's going to catch you because he's fast. Whereas I think if we see him mix it up, wrestle, get involved in some filthy scrambles, he could tire Conor out. And then it becomes an even more interesting fight because both of them will be a little bit gassed. They're both going to be swinging bombs. So I'm Team Conor, and I'm not budging on that. There's no way in hell I'll ever budge on that.
I appreciate that. Lovely stuff, Ian. Very happy for you. Congratulations on the win. Congratulations on everything. I hope you get to be on that card on April 8th. That'll be a great story. And
who would you like me to find out?
Honestly, it doesn't matter. At this point, I don't think it matters just yet. You're just racking up the wins at this point.
Exactly.
And I think that's fine. I didn't know if you had a specific name, but it doesn't matter at this point. Just get those wins, get that highlight reel a little longer, and this is going to be a big year for you. So I'm looking forward to
100%.
seeing how it all plays out. Well done, my friend. We'll talk to you soon, all right?
Appreciate you, Harold. Have a great show. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. There he is, Ian Machado Garry, with the big win on Saturday, 11-0 now. And yeah, when Conor McGregor fights, he'll probably be on that card. That makes all the sense in the world. Very much looking forward to talking to our next guest. He's one of the best minds in the sport, best analysts in the sport, but still very active. He was at UFC 285, did a little roundtable action there. That was fun. Returns to action in May against Johnny Walker. He's our old pal, Anthony Smith. Hey, Anthony, how are you? Yes.
What's up, dude? How are you?
And also one half of the Believe You Me podcast alongside Michael Bisping. Want to give a shout out to the boys as well. How's everything, Anthony? Thank you very much for doing this.
Everything's good, man. Everything's good. Sorry I'm a couple minutes late.
No problem. That's Ian's fault. He was late.
Oh, well, good, because I was running a little bit late too.
Okay, perfect. By the way, the room's coming together. It
slowly.
You added a few things.
Yeah, we're figuring it out. We're getting there. I just need more time so I can finish it.
Yeah, what's up with the door situation there? I feel like it's half painted. What's happening?
Yeah, it's a long story.
Okay, fine. Fair enough.
A different door.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so you were there, right? UFC 285, you were there. By the way, I saw you doing that roundtable with DC. Love the idea. People were like, "Oh, these are all the." Obviously, the premise was all of you have fought John. How did you like it? Did you like it? What did you think of it?
Yeah, it didn't matter to me. Whatever Glenn asked for, I do. For the most part, I've talked about. I didn't say anything or talk about anything that I haven't spoken about before. I didn't drop any new feelings about John or anything. We just kind of, put it all into a box. So I thought it was okay. It was the first time I'd been around Dominic Reyes in a very long time in person, and I was surprised we were able to get along okay. He was actually fairly enjoyable to be around. Thought he had some good insights as well. Yeah,
I thought it was a great idea. I like the premise. I was just wondering how you guys felt.
Why do you keep saying it like that?
No,
like the idea and the premise, but was the execution not?
No, I actually thought
it should have been.
In fact, I texted. This is good journalism on your part. I texted DC, and I thought he did a great job as a host. You know, they haven't really given him that host spot before. Usually it would be like
I thought so too.
Another dude, an ESPN guy, and I thought it was
analyst role.
We didn't need anyone. You know what I mean? No, I liked it. I just thought from an ego perspective, as fighters, you're all talking about someone who beat you. So like, I just wondered how you felt. You're a company guy. You're going to do as you're told. Glenn Jacobs, you're talking about the head of ESPN UFC content, comes to you. You're probably going to say yes, even if you don't like it. But I was just wondering how you felt about it because I saw it and I was talking to New York Rick about this too. I was like, this is a great idea. I liked it. It was different. We've not seen that type of stuff. Plus, DC as host was different too. So I was just giving you guys props. That's all. Jeez.
No, you just kept saying you liked the idea. You didn't say that you actually liked the show.
Oh no. Well, when I say the idea, I mean, okay, you thought I meant like on paper, but not execution. No, I meant the whole thing, the finished product.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Yeah, I thought it was good. And I'm glad you brought up the DC part because that was what I said to him as soon as we were done. Like, I thought he did a great job keeping the conversation flowing and directing traffic as he's getting it from Jake.
So I said at the top of the show that I didn't say this publicly. I said it privately among the team here. I didn't think Jon Jones was winning that fight, and I didn't think it would be close, to be honest. Like, I thought we were about to see a guy who had been out for 3 years and was fighting a different weight class against a different kind of athlete. But I am blown away by what he did. What did you make of his performance?
I was blown away that he did it the way that he did it. I think we said this on all the pre-shows and in any kind of breakdown that I gave, that if Jon ended up getting it to the ground, it was going to be fairly one-way traffic. I did expect for it to be competitive on the feet for a while. I thought that they were going to, I thought that the striking exchanges were going to be close, but Jon kind of, credit to Jon and what he does. He made sure that wasn't the case.
How do you think he looked out there? Just as a heavy, like that to me was another thing. Once I saw the pictures, I was like, he wasn't really taking it serious. You know what I mean? And then he goes in there and he looks like a freaking beast.
Yeah, in any grappling exchange ever, your Jon is always going to look like that.
Right.
That's just it. He's a phenomenal wrestler. And I've heard stories about how great. I've never got into any like real serious grappling exchanges with Jon. Obviously, like he didn't really engage in my bullshit when we were playing that jiu-jitsu game. He would get a dominant position and punch from there, but just pure grappling, I didn't feel like I got a good read on him there. But I've heard stories about how absolutely phenomenal he is, especially from guys that I have a lot of respect for in their grappling abilities, like Rashad and guys like that. They rave about it. So I expected that he was going to probably do that to anybody he gets a dominant position on. But I didn't. I wish we would have seen more. I wish I would have been able to see a little bit more of his footwork and his movement and how his reaction time is at heavyweight and if there was any ring rust and where he is skill wise. Like, is there any diminishing qualities that are going on as he gets older? But honestly, he kind of just shut us all up because we didn't have anything to say because we didn't get to see any of that, and he was crazy dominant on the ground.
Was that Jon Jones looking incredible, dominant, all that, or was that Ciryl Gane not showing up?
No, I think that's Jon. Okay. I think that's Jon. Cyril's been in there with a bunch of people. He was obviously the interim champion of the world. Ciryl doesn't have enough time left alive to close that gap in grappling and wrestling with Jon Jones. So there is that, like that is a piece of it. But I think if Jon can get a dominant position on anybody and he's motivated and he's as nasty as he seemed to be in that fight, I think that's how he is to most people.
But do you think an element to that fight and that result was the moment swallowing up Ciryl Gane?
It's a possibility. I just don't know what Ciryl could have done better in the exchanges that they had, the small amount of them. He obviously way overextended on that left hand, which is something he does do, which kind of credits Jon a little bit. He does his homework because Ciryl Gane does tend to overextend on his backhands a lot and steps forward, and Jon didn't give him any distance or range, and he didn't retreat like maybe he typically would have. He kind of just slipped to the outside and let it pass his head and then attack the body. So I don't know that Ciryl Gane had an opportunity to break. He just did something that he does a lot, and Jon took advantage of it.
One thing that I've always appreciated about Jon is that he talks openly about how much he studies and how important it is to him. I've never understood fighters who proudly say, I don't watch any film. I think that's crazy, especially it's like one thing to say, I don't know, you're going into a basketball game like, I didn't watch film. I'm just going to go within the team, the framework of the team. This is mano a mano. Like, why wouldn't you want to see as much as possible on your opponent? Where do you fall in line in that discussion? Do you watch a lot beforehand?
No, not really.
Wow. Why?
Yeah.
Why don't you watch?
I'll watch what I'm forced to, for sure.
Why don't you want to know
I mean,
tendencies and things like that?
Well, because it's not my job. My job is to take advantage of that stuff. So my coaches watch all the film, and then they relay that information as far as the techniques that we're working, the things that we're building inside of camp as we formulate the game plan. And then if I need to see something, or they really want me to see this tendency, then we'll go and they'll kind of clip all that stuff together and say, here's what it looks like. And then we'll go over that stuff repeatedly. So it's not like I've never seen it, but I have a bad habit of obsessing though. So what happens with me, and then this kind of happened in the Ozdemir fight. I watched a little bit too much with Volkan Ozdemir. And then I was kind of stuck out there waiting for shit to happen, like that I had seen him do before. But I think Jon probably has a similar experience. That nobody ever fights me the same way they fight everybody else, because I feel like nobody is like me. So not that I'm some wowing, crazy different style, but I think I think I move a little bit different. I think that some of the things I do, the timing is a little bit different. So it never looks the same. It never has. I've never watched a bunch of film and then gotten that same person or those same tendencies and well, tendencies are there, but it never really looks the same. I think I can overdo it, and I end up kind of out there watching my fight happen in front of me.
Did you have Jon as the greatest of all time going into this fight?
Yeah, even if he would have lost, I still would have kept him at the greatest of all time.
So obviously now you have him as greatest of all time. What about pound for pound? Do you have him as number one?
Yeah, for sure.
He now vaults up to the top.
Only reason, I think the only reason, I mean, he was inactive for 3.5 years and he was still at like number 7. I think that his inactivity is what pushed him down that list. But I personally, I still have him at pound for pound and greatest of all time.
Dare I ask, who do you think wins, him or Stipe?
I don't know. That's more interesting as far as their skills and abilities that they bring to the table. Stipe can match or neutralize some of the things that Jon does kind of to everyone. Physically, he's bigger. I did have some issues previously with Stipe in the Jon talk, because Stipe was so small there for a while as he was going into those Daniel Cormier fights. You know, he was 230 pounds when he fought Daniel the last time. I had dinner with him on Thursday, and he is absolutely massive. He claims he's 253. He's well over 253 for sure.
Really?
Yeah, and he's solid. So he's been very quietly working, behind the scenes when nobody's watching. It's not that he's just been sitting around. He's had this Jon Jones thing, target, in his mind for a while. So I really like the conversation that we had, just as far as the things he's been doing. But I think that he wrestles well enough to neutralize Jon. He is strength-wise and physicality, he absolutely matches Jon. Boxing for sure, I think he matches Jon. He does a lot of things well that most of the other guys in the division can't do. Like, I have a huge amount of respect for Curtis Blades, and that fight's interesting between Curtis and Jon, but there's such a glaring gap in the striking. So the wrestling, he definitely makes it interesting there and makes me want to see that. But if Jon can just go one other direction and be super dominant there, that's what he's going to do. So same thing with Cyril Gane. He's a specialist on his feet, but the glaring hole in the ground was just, I had a truck just driven right through it on Saturday night. Stipe has none of those.
Tougher opponent for Jon, Stipe Miocic or Francis Ngannou?
Stipe by far.
Because of the wrestling?
Yeah, but because of everything.
Really?
Jon with 50-45 Francis without a mark on his face.
Wow. That easy, huh?
Yeah. It is, if he looks anywhere close to as good as he looked on Saturday on his feet as well, I think that he's too dynamic and too diverse on his feet. I've always said that. People think I'm absolutely crazy, but I think he sticks him and picks at him from the outside and grinds him on the fence. I think he wins every wrestling exchange. I don't know. Aside from Francis catching him, which is, I guess, kind of just what Francis does, I just don't see how Francis wins that fight. I don't know that Jon is there to get caught.
Do you think that Jon should come in leaner for that fight?
I don't know. Again, that's what sucks about not seeing him, kind of go deep into, a second, a third, a fourth round. I don't, maybe I think that leaning out and maybe taking off 10 or 15 of those pounds would only benefit him. I'm not sure that it would hurt him as long as he doesn't lose any strength there.
What about the Grasso-Shevchenko fight? Did that blow you away?
Wild.
That was
blew me away.
Crazy.
Yeah, and you know what?
Especially
Alexa
the way in which
Grasso made me look stupid.
Why,
She
you
made me
said
look stupid.
Shevchenko?
Yeah. I didn't see Alexa Grasso being as successful as she was on her feet. You know, she really made Valentina uncomfortable almost the entire time. She hit her real hard a couple times in the first round. I thought Alexa Grasso won the first round. And then I think she lost every round after that. But it wasn't by a landslide. She was still very much in it. She was still landing on Shevchenko enough. And she was, even the shots that she wasn't landing was definitely affecting the way that Valentina was moving and directing her way through that and kind of navigating her way through it. I thought she was able to get to her feet. I thought she was looking fantastic. I thought Valentina was gonna run away with it. Like fairly unimpeded. And after the first round, I knew right away, like, oh wow, these guys are really close actually.
We were having a debate earlier about whether or not they should run it back right away and the case to not run it back, because sometimes, like Juliana Pena, Amanda Nunes, it feels like that fight, the first one, never happened anymore because they run it back right away, she loses, and like the moment doesn't get a chance to live. Is there a case in your mind to be made? Maybe you do Grasso Blanchfield next and you do Tyler Santos, Shevchenko, same card. Shevchenko wins one fight. Now you give her the title shot just to let the Grasso reign last a little longer, or given her dominance, given her history, her legacy, you got to run it back. It's disrespectful if you don't.
I think it's disrespectful if you don't, but I absolutely understand what you're saying though.
Right.
Because if she loses the rematch, then it doesn't seem fair to Alexa Grasso to even have much of a run there. But at the same time, as dominant as Valentina's been, as much work as she's put in, as just everything she's done, like she kind of just gets whatever she wants. It feels like, right?
Yeah, it does feel though that the gap is closing between her and the, like, I think we all
did feel different than the Juliana Pena and a Nunes fight. After that fight, all respect to Juliana Pena. I hate even talking about it because I always feel like when I see her, she's going to punch me in the face. But I just have to be honest here. When that first fight ended, I thought, all right, well, Juliana Pena was able to sneak behind the wire here in Amanda Nunes. Amanda Nunes lost that fight. I didn't necessarily always look at it as Juliana Pena won this fight. And then the rematch happens, and that's kind of what it looked like.
Yeah.
I don't feel like that this one. I think that Alexa Grasso was just, in a lot of ways, was just the better fighter. Valentina did a great job of taking her down and getting some dominant positions and being able to control her and land some shots of her own. But I didn't feel like the gap was that wide. Like they're very, very closely matched. And I don't think I've said that about anybody that's not named Amanda Nunes before.
No, I know. But I think the rest of the weight class, 125, like Tyler Santos, Blanchfield, Mano Grasso. Sure. I think a lot of us thought, okay, the Grasso fight is the one, like the last one that she gets, where it's a good style matchup, and now she's about to fight a bunch of killers who are great on the ground. Yeah. Who would have thought Grasso gets a submission? I wanted to ask Shavkat Rakhmonov, Bo Nickal, Ian Machado Garry. By the time their careers are all said and done, who has the better UFC career?
I think Rakhmonov.
Really? You're high on him?
Yeah, I am. Even though I think he fought really weird on Saturday. And
how so?
Credit to Jeff Neal. He was just super hittable. Never been that hittable before. And it seemed like he had absolutely no respect for Jeff Neal and his power, and he fought like it. But I'm really, really high on that guy, and I have been for a while, even though it was in a much closer fight than I anticipated.
You think he beats Colby Covington?
Rakhmonov?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Really?
Probably. Yeah. His wrestling didn't look as great as it had in the past either.
Yeah. I don't know.
But again,
he got hit a lot.
That's a Jeff Neal thing.
Yeah.
I think that's a Jeff Neal thing too. So I don't want to take anything away from Jeff Neal, but so I'm trying to be very careful about, kind of how I navigate talking about Rakhmonov. But yeah, probably. He's absolutely a better striker, and he's long and moves really well. And I think given that Colby is such a dominant wrestler, I think that he probably sharpens that up a little bit going into a fight with Colby Covington.
You think he beats a Hamza type?
Right now?
Yeah.
No, probably Probably not Hamza. I think that's just a stylistic tough matchup. It's one that I look forward to in the future, though.
Right. It's amazing.
I think
he
we
has
see
double
those-
the experience of Hamzat.
Yeah, I think we see a Rakhmonov Chimaev title fight someday.
Wow, that would be nuts.
I
We
do.
might see a Bo
That'd be
Nickal
crazy,
Chimaev title fight one day. He certainly talks about that. What do you think his ceiling is?
It's high for sure. I'm really impressed with him. Sometimes I think what we do as fans and consumers of the sport, I think that we put so much pressure on these guys to be so much better than they should be. Where Bo Nickal should be with the amount of time that he has in this sport, multiple time national champion or not, he's outperforming anywhere that he should be for sure.
Right.
And he's even outperforming some of the expectations that I think we put on him. But again, if we're being critical here, I think I've seen some things that need to be shored up, which obviously has all the right in the world to make some of those mistakes. But I think it was a good opportunity for him to go in game time speed and get a dominant win over a pretty tough guy and still have some things he can work on and take from that and go back to the gym.
Can I ask, what do you think needs to be shored up?
The timing on his entries could have been a little bit better and mixed in with his shots a little bit better. I think some of the positioning stuff on the cage, he made it a little tougher on himself to get that takedown than he should have. Again, I've seen the video. I've seen the knee. I don't think it was on purpose.
Okay. Yeah, I was just about to ask you about that. Do you think it was a low blow?
Yeah, it looked like one.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't, zoomed it in and slowed it down and crawled through the frames. But, just from the outside, the reaction that Jamie gave did help the takedown. And the positioning on the ground too. It took him a long time to finish a choke that he had the correct position on almost the entire time. But he finished that choke with the wrong technique on a guy that has a jiu-jitsu black belt.
Right.
So there's some negatives there, but there's also a lot of positives to that same statement. So he just, you could tell he's just working it out, trying to figure it out at game time speed, which I give him a lot of credit for. But there's some fairly easy adjustments in that positioning and the submission finish that should have made that it should only have taken a few seconds once he got his hands together.
So I'm happy you brought that up, and I rarely get into the technical stuff. Obviously, love it, but that's not my domain. But I was just curious about that finish, and I wanted to ask you about it because they were even talking about it on the broadcast. It seemed like what he needed to do was kind of level his chest to the mat, and it was there for the taking, and yet he wasn't doing that. Why do you think he wasn't? Was that just a lack of knowledge, or it's impressive because it showed his strength, but it felt like it could have ended a lot sooner, right? Had he just done that? Yeah,
it could have. He should have finished that way faster than he did. Anytime you get a submission locked in, specifically a choke.
Yeah.
The amount of time, as long as it's incorrectly, or applied correctly, it should only take a few seconds before they either tap or they fall asleep.
Right.
That's how chokes are. It should only be a solid 2 or 3 count, and you should either have a submission or one way or the other. I think that as a dominant wrestler, your reaction and your comfortable place to be is completely attached to your opponent.
Okay.
So he even stepped back into like a half guard or kind of a weird position, because once your bodies are, just to make it a little bit easier, you want to be teed up like this and chest down. But he kept pulling his body back down to Jamie Pickett's because that's comfortable to him, and that's how he's able to connect by me connecting my body to yours, I can feel everything. So I can control where you're moving, and I can use my body to stop the lower half by moving while I'm attacking the upper half. But on that specific finish, it's tougher. You actually have to tee your body up and get your body away from them. Which makes the finish come faster. But listen, Jamie Pickett wasn't going anywhere until Bo Nickal figured it out game time speed.
Right.
Which says a lot about his physicality and just his control. So, but I think he goes back to the gym on Monday and Tuesday or whatever he goes back, and they fix that really quickly.
One last thing.
But there's a lot of stuff like that he doesn't know.
Sure.
You know
of course. I mean, he's just 4-0 and just started a year ago. It's incredible. One last thing on 285. Can Cody Garbrandt turn this around, or is he who he is right now? Can he actually go on a run here, or based on what you saw on Saturday and as of late, there's now a ceiling?
I think what we want is the Cody Garbrandt fights of old.
Yeah.
And no more of those are happening.
Yeah.
Not if he's going to continue to win. If he's going to continue to win and be successful, those are the kind of performances you're going to see. He has to stay out of the fire. And I was really happy to see him acknowledge that. It's also very unfair to Cody for us to just destroy him for who he is, like, and him getting knocked out four times in a row brutally, and then say, you need to retire. He can't take the damage. His chin is gone. And then he comes out, fights a really smart game plan. And then everyone trashes on for fighting boring. Like, you can't have it both ways. He either has to fight the way he has to fight to win, or he's going to get knocked out because he hasn't shown the ability to absorb the damage.
I love the way he fought. I thought that was the perfect way to fight. It's maybe not the most fan-friendly way to fight.
The end of it, the end of it was he got a little sloppy there, but I mean, that's the end of a fight, and he knew he was up. So I think he'll take a lot from that. He kind of took his foot off the gas, and it cost him there at the end. I thought the way he fought was magical. He definitely separated himself from the pack as far as his skill set goes.
Who's the best light heavyweight in the world?
Anthony Smith.
I love it. I love it. All right, fair enough. Excluding yourself?
I would probably say Alexander Rakic, for being honest.
Wow. Okay, so you gave me two curveballs here, because to me the debate is, with all due respect, it's Yuri and Jamal Hill, just based off the fact that he had the belt vacated now, and I said it's Yuri after the Jamal Hill fight, and I think he didn't like that, and I think his fans didn't like that. But my opinion is, until he loses, of course, if he's out for 3 years, it's different. But like, the guy just fought not that long ago. I think it's a little unfair just to say that because let's be honest, Glover versus Jamal Hill wasn't a title fight that was scheduled. It's a fight that they made as a result of the Yuri injury, and then as a result of the Jan Magomed draw. Jamal Hill was supposed to fight you in a couple of weeks, so all of a sudden, just because he beats Glover, he's the number one in the world. I don't think that's fair. So I'm wondering.
Well, I don't think it's fair to even Jamal. He needs some time to continue to do what he's doing. He hasn't had the opportunity to show his well-rounded ability. I'm not saying that he doesn't have it. Obviously, people are going to say that because I trained with Jamal and I've worked with him and whatever. But like, in his competitions, he hasn't shown his willingness to go to other areas. You know what I mean? He's great at what he's great at, and everybody knows that. So, I guess in my own mind, I excluded myself and Jamal because people know how I feel about Jamal. So.
Okay, that's fair. So you think, but if it's a 2-horse race, Yuri and Jamal, you say Jamal is number one?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Between Yuri and Jamal, I think Yuri is the better fighter. Or I think Jamal's the better fighter.
Yep, got it. And Rakic number one. Interesting.
Yeah, he's tough to deal with.
Yeah.
He's tough to deal with.
Wow. You think he comes back and is right there in the mix?
Yeah, I'll be shocked if this big ass makes it back down to 205. The last time I seen him, he was like 250. Jack with 6-pack. Yeah.
Wow. In person or a photo of him?
In person.
205 is fascinating right now, right? Because it feels like it's just like one big like mishmash of guys. You're returning against Johnny Walker May 13th. By the way, is there a location attached to that yet?
No, I've had 3 of them so far. So I keep thinking I know it, and then they change it. So
no Apex though, or is that possible?
No,
yes.
No, it's no Apex.
Wow,
it changed again for me yesterday. So we'll see.
Okay, but definitely no Apex as of right now.
Definitely no Apex. As of right now, it's no Apex.
Are you happy about that?
Super happy about that. I love that.
Yeah, enough of the Apex nonsense. I mean, I know you guys love all the UFC brought. You guys all love it because it's so like convenient.
It is. It's like a home game.
I know, but it's so bad on TV. It's so freaking bad. Well, that's exciting. And how do you like the matchup? Were you happy with it? Obviously, I would imagine you wanted the Jamal Hill fight, right?
Yeah, I mean, I want a title fight.
Yeah.
Anytime I can get the opportunity, I think it's less about Jamal. It's more about the title. But
of course.
Yeah, it's whatever. I don't mind the matchup.
Were you impressed with him, or as of late, have you been impressed with what Johnny has been doing?
No. I mean, everything that I've been impressed with him, I still am impressed by. He's a fantastic athlete. He's explosive. He's really, really big. I think he's learning some new skills, and I think that it's helping him a little bit. I think sometimes it hurts him, but overall, he's kind of the same guy he's been for a while.
Really, you don't see any difference, because that's been the talk. Oh, he's figured it out. He's on this winning streak.
He's figured out how to stick to a game plan,
right?
For sure. Yeah, his approach and his application has gotten better for sure. But I think his skill set is still the same.
Okay. And were you ever in talks for the Jamal Hill title fight?
No, because Jamal got some like things he was taking care of anyway. So I knew Jamal wasn't going to be fighting for a while.
Okay, so you think they'll go with Jamal and Yuri?
Yeah, as long as Yuri is ready.
Right.
Yeah, and I think he deserves that.
What about you?
As soon as he's ready to fight, I think he should slide right into a title fight.
And what about you? Like, if you beat Johnny Walker, are you getting the winner?
I think if Yuri's not ready, yeah, I think.
Oh,
so.
no, just the winner of that
if Yuri,
fight. If let's say you beat Johnny Walker in end of summer, Yuri told us he's hoping to return around August. Who knows if that happens? But let's say they fight. Like, would you get the winner of Yuri and Jamal?
I would hope so. Yeah, I would hope so. I think that I would be the only one in the top 5 coming off a win.
Sure, that would be good. Have they told you that?
It would be. No. I try not to look too far ahead. That's gotten me in trouble at times before. So I just focused on Johnny Walker wholly.
Yeah, and would it be weird for you to fight Jamal at this point since you have a relationship, or not really? It's not like you're the best of friends.
No. I mean, we're tight.
Okay.
You know, like I FaceTimed him with my team here in Omaha a couple of days ago while he was getting his haircut. We're just chit chatting. So, I mean, we still talk, but we both knew what it was going into it.
Sure.
You know, like I think in life in general, Ariel, if you manage your expectations, then there's no surprises and you don't have to worry about weirdness or stupid things popping up. Like we expect to fight, and we expected to fight before he was the champion. So whether he's the champion or not the champion, neither one of us are going to end our careers without fighting each other, and that's just how it is. We're too close in the rankings. So, yeah, it is what it is. And I think that he learns so fast, and he's such a sponge. He'll be a different person by the time we do fight. So it's not like, you know, I think it'll be a totally different Jamal Hill by the time we do fight.
I would love to see it. By the way, could I ask? I know it's been a few months, or a couple months, or a couple weeks, few weeks. What happened with the weigh-ins in Brazil?
I'd love to tell you. I mean, it's a fairly simple story, but the problem is every time, everyone always gets mad when you don't give a reason for what you did or something that happened, right? They're like, well, you won't even give us a reason. We don't even deserve a reason. And they get all upset because you won't say anything. The second you give the reason, it immediately becomes you're an excuse maker. So you can't win. So I'd love to tell you, but and it would make a lot of sense. You'd be like, oh, okay, holy shit, that makes a lot of sense. But
I'm asking you. So I feel like an excuse is if like you bring it up voluntarily, but I'm asking you what happened. And so you could say, yes, your response would be an excuse, but that's just the answer to the question.
Yeah, I mean, I was really sick.
Oh,
really, really, really.
That's a very good reason. Not an excuse. It's a reason.
I was in the low. The week before, I was in the low 220s. It was like 221. I was like waking up at 221, which is lower than I typically am. That Friday, I flew home from Denver. I was leaving on Tuesday. I was really sick Friday. Saturday, I went to the doctor. Really bad sinus infection, and I had the flu. So they give me all the meds. I get the steroid pack, the antibiotics for the sinus infection. I'm supposed to leave Wednesday. Tuesday, because of the meds and just being sick, I ballooned to like 235, 234. So, you know, we did all we could to get the weight off. I landed in Brazil at like 228. So from Wednesday to Friday morning, I cut from 228 to 206.
How frustrating was that whole week for you? That must have been hell. Feeling sick,
yeah,
trying to cut weight?
Yeah, it was miserable. It was miserable.
And you're there as the backup. They didn't pay you? I mean,
I wasn't unhappy.
Okay, all right, fine. Okay, so they did right by you. I'm happy.
Of course.
Okay, all right. Because I was afraid. I mean, that's your role that weekend, and so I was afraid that it would be.
Yeah, I felt terrible about it too. Like I was crushed because, but sometimes that that shit happens, and I'm really critical of people that miss weight. That's your job. You got to make weight.
Yeah.
If I was a tougher guy or mentally, I didn't have such an ego, I probably would have called and just said, "Hey, I'm really sick. I can't make it." They're going to have to just go without a backup. But again, we've had this conversation. I would have had to say I couldn't do it, and I just can't say that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm happy it all worked out, and then you get the big fight against Johnny Walker, so it's all good. You're doing great things. I'm very happy for you. I love the idea of the round table. I'm just joking. I'm just going back to that.
No, not the idea, Ariel. The execution.
No, I love the execution. You and Mike are doing big things. I enjoy the Who would have thought you and Mike together? Huh?
When are you coming on our show?
You guys don't. Can I be honest? By the way, Your Zoom actually says the name of the guy behind the scenes, which is funny. I don't know. Or is that no, that's Ant for you. I thought it was Ant Evans who helps
that's
Mike.
me.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
You know, can I tell you something? Can I shoot with you for a second? I think Bisping doesn't like me anymore. He doesn't invite me on, doesn't talk to me, doesn't return my texts. It's
really?
weird. Yeah. We used to be like so tight.
No, we always get so excited when you talk about our show.
I try to show you guys so much love. I always say it's a great show.
You plug us a lot.
Yes. Yeah. And I get nothing back. No, I get nothing back.
No, never.
I'm very sensitive.
Well, we're gonna have you on. We're gonna talk about it.
I feel like I'm one of, like I'm.
We got Stipe today.
Oh, you did? Oh, I got him too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course you do.
That's right.
Of course.
Yeah, well, that's an easy get.
Right before us too.
That's an easy get. Have you done it yet?
Yeah. No, it's here in a couple hours.
Oh, okay. The guys in the back were telling me that Stipe is a tough interview, but I feel like with people like you, with Weidman, he opens up a little more.
Yeah, because he trusts us. I think he's had some people.
What are you talking about? He doesn't trust me?
I don't know. I don't know how the interview went. I haven't watched it, but I think that he's been, I call it getting mediated. I think he's gotten mediated a bunch of times, and he doesn't trust the media very much. I think they ask. I don't know. I think that he just always feels like there's an ulterior motive to some of their questions, and he knows that Weidman and I aren't going to walk him into a trap.
No. Neither would I, by the way.
Was it good though?
I mean, it was a fairly standard Stipe interview. He doesn't give you much.
Really?
But I appreciate his presence. I'm happy. I know what I'm getting out of it.
Yeah.
I know.
But even me, he's hard to get.
Yeah,
that's the problem. Once I get him on, he's great. It's just getting him on is the problem.
That's right. He's a guy's guy.
Because he lives no fighting outside of actually fighting.
I know. It's unbelievable.
Like at all.
I asked him about Jon's last few fights, and he's like, "Yeah, I didn't see them." I was like, "All right."
No, he's not lying either.
No, I know. I believe him.
Yeah, he doesn't watch fighting. He does. Yeah.
When are we going to see you do a color commentary thing, like in the booth, not desk? When are we going to see that? I feel like you'd be really good at that.
I think when there's a position open, I think that's what it comes down to. They all just do such a good job.
Yeah.
There's not really anywhere for me to slide in. And I think me going in, I'd have to take someone's position, and then there's no one. They're all so good.
Right.
I think when we start traveling internationally more often, I think that some of those guys will want to break. I don't think they're like, you ain't getting DC to start traveling internationally full time. We all know that.
No.
And Rogan doesn't really travel internationally that much.
No.
So I think once it's more consistent, we start doing it a couple times a month, I think some of those opportunities will open up.
Okay. What are you more excited for? Last thing, Merab Dvalishvili versus Petr Yan, or the Slap League finals this weekend?
You're just trying to get me canceled.
What canceled? You're a fan. To be proud. You're a fan of Slap League.
I'm a huge fan of it.
Yeah, so
people hate it. They hate it, Ariel.
Why would I get you canceled?
I've never been roasted for more for more things than slap fighting. My DMs are filling up. My Twitter mentions are exploding right now. I guarantee it. Just for me saying that. I don't know why people are so shocked about it.
You said something to me in private, but I wouldn't say. I would. You said something to me that blew me away. You know what I'm talking about regarding this?
Which part? Give me a hint.
Well, it's about slap fighting in general. You told me something, and I was blown away, and that's why I brought this up, because I wasn't trying to get you canceled. I was trying to get the fan out in you. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Fuck. Should have talked about this before.
Which part?
Well, I'm just gonna go for it. You're not gonna be mad. You told me that you're before, and actually, it speaks to your comment that I know some people got all riled up. Who cares? You like what you like. You told me, when all this started, that you are such a big fan of this sport that like you buy the pay-per-views, right? Like you are.
Yes. Yes. Dude, I know what you're talking about. Before the slap league was a thing, before Dana White created this slap fighting thing, I was already buying internet pay-per-views.
Yes.
And like, if you dig deep enough in the interwebs, you're going to find flyers for like underground slap fighting leagues with special guest appearance Anthony Smith on there in Branson, Missouri, with no fans. Like, this is before Dana White ever even said the word slap fight league. Like, I already liked this stuff. It was already like a thing that me and my friends did way before slap fighting was like, there was guys at that pilot event and people that they were trying to sign that I already knew. Like, I already knew those guys. So like, the research wasn't very hard for me to do the pilot. I mean, I would have done the pilot for free. I'd do this whole season for free.
But by the way,
enjoy it.
Do you call the events?
No, I did the pilot event. And then
why don't you? You're like a legitimate fan.
Because Bisbing's better at it than I am.
Oh, come on.
Like, I'm an analytical mind, and that's my lane, right? Bisping is a very good analyst. He breaks things down really well, but he also, what he does better than I do by far is getting people excited. And I think that's more of a skill set needed for slap fighting, because there's not a lot of analysis and breakdowns going on. But he gets you excited about shit you wouldn't typically be excited about. He's a fantastic promoter.
Right. Are you? I
don't do that good of a job there.
So you watched it every week. You're legitimately excited for the final.
Oh yeah. I can't wait.
And I'm
just so shocked that people are mad that I'm mad, that are like mad.
Yeah,
that
who gives a crap?
Like,
I couldn't care less. I mean,
I've been supporting myself by punching other men in the face for money since I was 17 years old, my entire adult life. And you're shocked that I enjoy watching one man slap the shit out of another one. Like, I think that says more about other people than it does about me.
Have you ever tried it?
No, I would never do that shit. Ever.
Why?
It's just not me.
It's not you, but you love it.
No, they're different, man. These guys are wired differently. There's no way I could do that.
Who's the Jon Jones of slap fighting?
He's not even in the slap fight league.
But like, what's his name?
They're not real names.
Like, who's the GOAT?
Like, they don't.
Like, who's the man? Who's the guy? Who's the greatest of all
time? It's a heavyweight that's signed with that league in Missouri. I don't want to. I don't know.
Oh, you don't. Oh, okay.
It's a heavyweight that's signed in that league in Missouri.
There's another league in Missouri that has big names. It's not just one. Like,
oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you're a fan. Like, you follow this. Is there like a whole
whatever Hunter and Dana need to do to go get a couple of those guys? They need to go.
Wow. They're that.
And
good.
They tried.
They're that.
They
good.
tried. Yeah. Hunter and Dana have tried, and they're in contracts. They can't. They want to. They can't.
Yeah, I bet they want to. I mean, what a difference.
Yeah.
Is there like podcasts and stuff? Is there like an MMA hour for slap fighting? Is there like a whole world that we don't know about?
I wouldn't say it takes an hour, but
okay.
Yeah, it's its own finger of business there, Ariel.
And you love it.
I love it.
You can't.
It's just different. So it's the wow factor. You know how hard it is. I've been in this sport for 16 or 17 years. Like, you know how hard it is for me to like get that feeling of, oh, holy shit. Like, I've just been in so many fights. I've seen so many fights. The last time I had any reaction that made me feel like I was watching every single slap fighting card they have is like when Masvidal knocked out Ben Askren.
Right.
That was the last time I remember feeling like truly shocked and excited.
You must have been super pumped when your promoter, your boss, essentially is getting involved in this world. You're like a closet fan of.
Yeah,
Were you a closet fan?
I think I would. Okay. I would say I was a closeted fan. If they were to ask me to just be like one of the security guys that catch them as they fall, I would do that.
Oh my God. What a miss not using you in all this. You legitimately love it.
I love it. Yeah.
Are you going to the finale?
No, I'm in training camp.
Oh. Well, you were just...
Yeah. I mean, if they asked me to work it, I mean, I'd have to go,
sure,
for my job.
What are you more excited for? The finale or like 285? Like, what would you be more excited to work if they offered it to you?
The finale.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
For sure. Without a question.
Wow. I appreciate that. I like people who have quirky interests.
Yeah, it's just different. It's different. I like bare knuckle too. Like, it's like weird shit.
Wow. What do you think about Eddie Alvarez and Rockhold going there?
I think it's amazing.
Crazy, right?
Both those guys. I like it. I like it.
What a time in combat sports.
It's also like nothing I could ever do, but
why not?
I don't think my hands would hold up.
Really?
I've had too many hand surgeries. Yeah. The doctors say they can probably only fix each one, maybe one more time. So
how many have you had on each?
3.
3 each? 6 total?
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn. But you watch those also. You buy the pay-per-views?
All of them.
Man.
I'm a BKFC subscriber, dude. Come on.
Who'd have thought? Anthony Smith, I love this side of you.
Yeah, I love it.
This is great. Well, this has been fun.
I watch the UFC and then really just a bunch of other weird shit. I don't really watch too many other organizations.
Is there any other weird shit that we should know about?
I don't think so. I think that's it, really.
Arm wrestling?
No, not really. A little bit.
No.
Only like the real freaky ones.
What do you mean the freaky?
I watch I watch professional jiu-jitsu, obviously, but that's obviously a bunch of freak shows too.
Right. Do you watch like the influencer boxing stuff?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Obviously,
it's gotta be a freak show though.
Yeah,
gotta be different.
Did you see there was a tag team match this weekend? Did you see that?
There's people in Russia that fight like 100 on 100.
Yeah, like that's
MMA
crazy.
rules, like in a field.
You like that?
Yeah. Wild. I love it.
When's the new episode of BYM out?
Tonight.
You come out Monday nights.
Monday nights, yeah.
You don't dare
premiere, Ariel. We're kind of fancy.
Yeah, you don't dare go head to head with me. That would be crazy.
Well, no, we're just giving you an opportunity. You got to have a place here too.
That's right. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Go check it out. I will as well. I enjoyed the show very much. Great stuff. Thank you for doing this, Anthony. And good luck. If we don't speak before, hopefully we do. I don't know. Maybe you're gonna start charging me for these appearances. If not,
yeah, right. All you gotta do is reach out, Ariel. I've never told you no.
I know, you're the man. I appreciate that very much. Good luck in training, my man. Thank you.
Take care, brother.
All right, there he is, Anthony Smith. What a guy. Great guy. Met him. Actually met him. Enjoyed talking to him very much. And
nice.
You like that?
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, he's a great guy.
He's a great guy. He's an absolute great guy. What about that, huh? Big slap fan. They exist.
It makes sense.
Why?
Well, because, like, you know, I work in the music industry, and so I just listen to noise. Like, that's what gets my heart going.
Yeah.
So it's probably, you know, he's like fighting this, fighting that. I just want to see some slapping.
Why not? Listen, it doesn't have, just because it's not my cup of tea or your cup of tea doesn't mean. That's the one thing that I think that's really weird, especially about the internet these days. We all want everyone to be the same, right? You're on this side of the fence when it comes to politics. You're on this side of the fence when it comes to no, not everyone. Did you see this thing yesterday? I'm on the plane, Frank, and I happen to my daughter is sleeping right next to me. I'm in the middle seat. I open the window thingy, the shade thingy, and I see the most amazing sunset.
Yeah, I saw that picture you posted. Yeah,
it wasn't a picture. Thanks a lot for watching it. It was a clip. It was a 30-second clip.
Oh, my internet was crapping out.
As we're descending, it was breathtaking. I got killed.
Transcendental, you think?
I don't know what it was. It was just amazing. Here I am, just floating on top of clouds, and the sun is setting. The clouds look fake, and I was just blown. I was having a moment, and I got killed for it.
Wait, they didn't receive that well?
Oh my God! They're like, nice clouds. Never seen a cloud before, never flown before.
I should have stayed on that thread a little longer.
Go check it out. Oh, nice engine, buddy. I'm like, geez Louise, I feel sorry for you guys.
No joke. Like, I saw that and I was like, damn, it feels good to work with somebody who appreciates things like this.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Then you know what happened? I didn't share this part, but I was rattled. Never seen this before. Never experienced this before. Legit. Plane is descending. Let's say this is the runway, right?
Thank you for the model. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the runway. This is our plane. Like, we cannot be closer to the runway, okay?
Right.
Runway, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes. Up. It's about to hit. And then all of a sudden we go, like, we're taking off.
Right, a go around.
No, this was crazy. So I'm starting to freak out. Wife's freaking out. Trying not to freak out in front of the kids. But everyone's like, what the hell's going on? I was, like, my mind started going in the worst place. Like, is the plane hijacked at this point?
They're running it back.
No, you know what happened? They come back and they say, there was another plane that was too close.
Right.
What the hell?
I mean, look, man, it's, you know.
They're about to land and there's a plane that's too close.
Yeah. So
and
they did the right thing. They avoided it.
Oh, and by the way, it was one of the all-time great jobs by a pilot. I mean, we were like this close. I was like unbuckling. And then all of a sudden it's 45 minutes. We did the whole tour, come back. I was so grateful to the pilots. Oh, thank you so much. I'm actually surprised that we don't hear more of that stuff. With
Same
all the activity.
idea. Pilot gets bored, you know, fly in, fly out every day. What if I make something a little bit more exciting?
My God.
Like Anthony Smith.
I was so, I was rattled. And then I thought, is it because I tweeted the video while on the plane? Like, was I jinxing myself? So I said, I'm never doing that ever again. Never doing that.
Now you have to do it every time. We want to see you when you're traveling.
Thank you for that, Frank. Gosh, I was rattled. I got to tell you. Didn't know.
Well,
if
I'm
I'd
glad that the family's here
today.
safely. That's what matters.
Who would have hosted the show?
Honestly, probably me.
I agree. That's what I would have said too. All right, let me do these ad reads here, and then we'll recap the weekend that was as far as the bets are concerned. Still to come, Bo Nickal. Don't go anywhere, all right? Everyone, don't go everywhere. Don't go anywhere. I mean, today's program, as always, brought to you by our good friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Best time of the year coming up. College Hoops, the tournament. I don't think I could say the name. You know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I don't think I could say that. I'm not sure why, but I can't say it.
What month is it in?
It's happening in the month of March, and it is a crazy time. Some might say it's madness. How about that?
Clever, but a little too obvious.
Too obvious. Anyway, we want you to get in on the college hoops action with DraftKings Sportsbook. Listen to this. New customers can bet just $5 on a pregame money line and get $150 in bonus bets if your team wins. Plus, all customers can boost your college basketball winnings with DraftKings stepped-up parlays. With each leg, you add up to 100%. New customers download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THEMMAHOUR. Bet $5 on any college hoops pregame money line and get $150 in bonus bets if your team wins. That's code THEMMAHOUR. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Of course, you can also lay a little lumber on the blazing hot New York Knicks. 9 in a row, double overtime win yesterday in Beantown. And that sound you are hearing right now is them creeping up on New York Knicks Cleveland Cavaliers. 1 game back now. I was in Miami. Julius Randle hits a shot, freaking out. Unbelievable. 21 and older in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. State-specific responsible gambling resources. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. Bonus issued as bonus bets. 1 boost per eligible game. Opt-in required. 10+ leg required for 100% boost. Deposit, parlay, and wagering restrictions apply. Eligibility and terms over at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms. Frank, we have some breaking news. We have a new sponsor, Frank, and it's a biggie. In fact, they were the Knicks sponsor as of last year on the jersey. This is a big one for me, Frank. It's a personal one for me. Very, very excited to announce that today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at Squarespace. Frank,
What?
we're part of the Squarespace family.
that's
Look
awesome.
at that. Wow. Squarespace, welcome to the team. Welcome to the winning team. Oh my gosh. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform for growing your business online. If you're a media guy, you want your own newsletter, your own site, breaking news, thoughts, opinions, columns, aggregation, mailbags, whatever it is, go to Squarespace. If you're a fighter, you want your own brand, you want your own content, your own store, your own newsletter, go to Squarespace. If you're a fight brand, gloves, cups, rash guards, whatever it is, go to squarespace.com. With Squarespace, you can sell online, manage email campaigns, and even book appointments all from your business's website. You can head right now to squarespace.com/MMA Hour for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, please use the code MMA Hour to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. You can make it, you know what? Through the Frank lens. You can make it GC's best bets. You can make it New York Rick's social media tips.com. with our good friends at Squarespace. And again, use the code MMA Hour to save 10%. And this is the best part about it. They are now part of the family. And when you're a part of the family, they need our support. And so please support them because they support us. We appreciate Squarespace.com for being a part of the family, for believing in us. And so we hope that you will do the same and support them. Thank you very much to the good people over at Squarespace. All right, let's talk to the boys. Gentlemen, how did we do on Saturday? How did the Parlay Pals? And by the way, first time I see New York Rick with the new camera.
Yeah, well, you saw him
different?
earlier.
Yeah, I know.
Surprised
me
you didn't
earlier.
Yeah, it's
comment.
different. You think I could see what's in front of me here? I can barely see what's
Oh.
on my computer screen. This, I see. This is
Looks
big
great.
time.
It looks great. He's filling out the headroom fantastically.
Filling it out fantastically. Also, can I just say, I definitely feel like your camera, both of your cameras, are better than mine.
Yeah, they
I
are.
think the subject has a lot to do with that. You know?
What does that mean?
Nothing.
Okay.
When you're talent, you're talent.
Yeah. How do you feel, by the way? Still feeling a little bit under the weather?
He's
or
great.
what?
He looks great.
I'm on the other side of it for sure.
I hear it in the voice, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
I had
hear it in the voice. I mean, he was, when we did No Bets Barred last week, he was deathly ill.
Yeah.
It was just a podcast, but I mean, I'm talking the entire room was dark. It was black. After we talked about 3 or 4 fights, I mean, he went dead silent. You could just see him zoning out. I mean, I thought he was going to keel over during the podcast.
The light hurt my eyes bad.
yeah.
Had to keep it dark.
Yeah.
Bad sinus infection.
Really? Was it a sinus infection?
Yeah.
Wow. Second time we hear
I mean,
it.
you can hear it. I'm still,
Yeah. You're still battling it.
my face still hurts and it's still,
Damn.
I mean, look at that camera. I can't wait for the New York Rick YouTube channel monologues to come after.
Oh, it's gonna be great.
Big fight cards. It looks great.
Hey, what's up, fight fans? New York Rick's takes on last night.
Smash that subscribe button. Make sure you go ahead and like that. Share it with your friends.
The bell
24-hour live
notification.
stream coming up. All right. By the way, what about degenerate Anthony Smith?
That's literally what Rick said. He was like, well, God, I love how much of a fight degenerate he is.
Yeah,
He's
great.
just like, BKFC subscriber.
Yes.
I love it. He's got the app on his iPad.
What a miss.
I'm convinced that him and Kaposa are the only two who dig up these like odd, random events that nobody's ever
Does
heard of.
Kaposa like slap fighting as well?
That I don't know.
I don't
Might
think
draw
so.
the line.
wonder.
You
I
might
don't
draw
know.
the line.
But Kaposa likes everything. I mean, it'll
But
be
every other version of MMA or fighting.
yes. Every single MMA organization too. It'll be 8:15 on a Sunday morning, and he's like, "Big knockout in
Dubai Fighting Championships
BEFC."
98. I feel like it's a miss not using Anthony on these broadcasts, but
I mean, he
legitimately
clearly
loves it.
cares about
Yes.
it. Like it's legit.
Can't
I mean,
use him
he's-
to break it down to some. I mean, God, there's got to be a role for him,
I mean, he at least has to be the talent scout for the next season.
or
Like,
that. Yeah,
he's deep in the Missouri slap league.
yeah.
Casey chimes in. No, Kaposa hates slap fighting.
There you go.
Seems to be like the
And
rest.
apparently, there's 2 or 3 more seasons to go. There's a lot of activities, so who knows?
Right.
All right, guys. How do we do, GC? Let us
lost.
know.
We all
Okay, we
know.
lost.
We all-
all right. that was
We all know.
bad.
I mean,
What happened? What happened?
happened.
Alexa Grasso took Valentina Shevchenko's back and choked her out in the 4th round and ended the Parlays Pal, which is kicks Rick
Wow.
out of the Parlay Pal. So
Again.
for UFC Las Vegas, it'll just be us 3.
Wow. Yeah. Oh God. Is there anything more annoying than this whole thing?
No, listen, I think this is a huge win for us.
Why?
Because this is UFC Las Vegas.
Yes.
Time to drop hashtag UFC Vegas 71.
No, they're going to
or
go
whatever
back
the
to
next one
that.
is gonna be.
They're 1,000% going back to that.
Listen, I think it's going to get mumbles in the streets, rumbles in the streets. Why is it not just UFC Apex 71?
You think we're going to win?
We can pull back the clips. I mean, we started going to the Apex. I mean, this is
Yeah.
months and months now of saying UFC Apex, whatever number it is. I think this is a big win for us. Worst mistake the UFC made was making it UFC Las Vegas.
Couldn't agree more.
I think I deserve more of a lashing here. I think I deserve to eat a little more crow.
Okay, go ahead. I mean, really?
It was a great pick.
yeah.
Just
Oh, on the Valentina thing.
no.
Oh, yeah. I mean, minus 800. Got finished.
The value wasn't there. The value wasn't there. It was a misstep. A string of bad picks from me.
Could have had Shavkat.
Sorry.
For minus
Yeah.
So
100.
that's all I can say. Well, you know, I was more confident in Val than Shavkov, if I'm being honest.
Hindsight's always
Being
20/20.
honest.
Hindsight is always 20/20.
But yeah, no. When you mess up a fight, and especially a big favorite, like you should have some egg in your face, and I do. And Alexa Grasso deserves a
It's been a weird stretch.
hell of credit.
You're
It
back
is.
in,
There's
you're back
been a
out.
lot of big upsets.
Yeah.
Oh, for me,
Yeah, for you.
Yeah, we're up and we're down lately.
I'm just picking like Kaka. I'm having a bad run right now.
And by the way, for those that may be confused, the Petr-Yan Merab fight is going down this Saturday in Las Vegas, but it's at the Theater at Virgin Hotels, which I believe used to be the Hard Rock, or is it the Palms?
I think it's the Hard Rock. I think you're right.
Um,
Now I'm second guessing.
Virgin Hotel, Las Vegas used to be
You
The Hard
ask
Rock.
questions
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
people like that, or
the Hard Rock. Great venue. There's been some great fights there back in the day. So I'm happy. By the way, you know what I heard? I heard that the reason why they moved it from the Apex to this venue is so that the slap final could be at the Apex.
Seriously.
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, that kind of makes sense.
Isn't that amazing? That it actually turned into a better situation because they moved the UFC fight to a venue with fans so that the slap final could go to the Apex. And by the way, the Apex is where things like that should
it
happen.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Contender series, tough, that type of stuff.
Yep.
You want to get into jiu-jitsu, you want to do that type of stuff. Great. It just shouldn't be for UFC events, period.
Yeah.
That's all.
Makes sense.
That's all. All right. How did you do the rest of the night, GC?
Yeah, let's talk about it. Singles, again, like start the night nice, man. It felt like, I mean, going into the 4th round, of the Shevchenko fight, I was like, oh man, this is going to be a big night. You know, I got Valentina finishing all these parlays. I did make sure to hedge on Grasso, tweeted that out. A couple people told me that helped them out because they hedged as well. Felt like it was just too obvious with how many parlays I had with Shevchenko finishing them plus 650. It was a no-brainer. Parlays, as you can see here, I mean, it was looking like we might go 6-0 on parlays when we were entering the fourth round of Shevchenko-Grasso, and we end up going 2-4 because obviously Shevchenko gets finished and the Jones-Gane fight gets finished in the first round. That might have been the most shocking part for me. I thought that was for sure going to go longer. Two heavyweights that just didn't have like huge finishing acumen of late. So yeah, paid there in total. The struggle of 2023 continues, down 6.79 units on the year, 2.33 last week. All time though, we're still up over 70 units. Yeah. So yeah, the year reset just makes it hurt more. I guess, you know, we'll say like officially starting to really affect the confidence. You know, as I make bets, I'm like, you know, I'm trying to be as sure as possible, but yeah, just can't have that 1 week where we break out. Hopefully, it's coming soon. Update on the MMA Hour Verdict League.
You're starting to second guess yourself.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean, we're 2 months in now, and I'm still down units. It feels like this is the coldest streak we've been on since we started on the show. But hopefully, it comes to an end soon. UFC Vegas. That's where we start, right?
No, Las Vegas.
Yes, UFC Las Vegas. Good call.
Yes.
Good call. Am I going to go to the well again and trust Piotr Jan at big minus
oh
money?
My God. What is he at? What is he at right now?
Minus 200 something. That has cost me many times in the past.
Wow.
Update on the MMA Hour League.
Yes.
In Verdict, Justin B. 116 takes the lead. Cerulean Big falls to third. And then got to get into the big hitters. Have to do it this week after such a big pay-per-view card.
I like the Verdict guys, but I saw that they're doing this thing where they're rounding up all the news on their website, and I didn't see any credit to anyone, including us. We got to clean that up, boys, all right? We're going to give you the free plugs on this show. We got to clean that up, all right? I mean, I'm looking at the last one here. The top 3 things are things that happened on the show last week, and there's no sourcing whatsoever.
Real talk, though.
Right?
We do give them quite a
like
quite a bit of free pub.
Yeah. Why? I'm not sure, but I like them. But you know,
I like the app. I'm a fan of the app.
Yeah,
That's
right. A little sourcing goes a long way. All right.
All right. There's only one place to go here this week, Ariel. I didn't do the normal tweet. You know, try and get some slips. You know, a lot of people sent slips to me unsolicited. Congratulations to them. There were some fantastic bets made this weekend, but there was only one place to go. I mean, this is
nuts.
Nuts is heavily understating this. I don't know how to describe what this is. Plus 39,947,171. Andrew Collins, AC the Hulk, turns $1 into 399,472.
Possible.
6 picks. I'll tell you how it's possible, Ariel. 6 picks. 6 quick picks. Dricus du Plessis to win by KO in round 2. Shout out to Derek Brunson's corner. I feel like they should get a little bit of this payout for the towel throwing. Cody Garbrandt to win by decision. Bo Nickal to win by submission in round 1. Shavkat Rakhmonov to win by submission in round 3. Alexa Grasso to win by submission in round 4. Jon Jones to win by submission. I mean, this feels like divine intervention. I mean, it's just the Alexa Grasso to win by submission in round 4. I mean, this is just, it's unbelievable. I've truly never seen anything like it. He literally hit a lottery ticket, and he wasn't done there, because he also hit a plus 7,263,040 5-pick parlay. Everything I just listed, taking off Jon Jones by submission. So going into that main event, he had already turned $1 into 72,631. And then he was like, okay, well, if Jon Jones wins by submission here, I get another 400,000. I mean, just unbelievable stuff. Never seen anything like that. And because of this, AC the Hulk, this has now become the Andrew Collins Big Hitters of the Week.
Wow. You're renaming it?
We're renaming it after him.
Shit.
It's a hall of immortality here. I mean,
you're immortalizing him.
How can you not? How can you not immortalize someone that hit a plus 39,947,171 six-pick parlay? I mean, he can pay off his house off of a $1 bet. Unbelievable.
No, you're right.
I think that's apropos.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I think
That's the craziest bet I've ever seen in real life.
DraftKings has confirmed it. Reached out to our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. They confirmed that these are real.
Wow.
Obviously, taxes came out, but I think he ended up netting $2 into about $350K post-taxes.
amazing.
Unbelievable. Shout out to him. AC the Hulk. Andrew Collins.
AC the Hulk. Has he ever made it on Big Hitters before?
He made it one other time when we forgot to do it, and I just had to tweet it out. So, I mean, this is just really giving him his due here.
Now it's
So,
named after him.
yeah, you know what the funniest thing is that the last time that he was supposed to get on, it was because he bet Alexa Grasso by submission against Joanne Wood.
Wow.
I mean, the fortune teller when it comes to Alexa Grasso fights.
Well done.
I mean, you'd think, you know, with the 450,000, however much you just won, maybe get an Alexa Grasso shirt, something.
Yeah, maybe he's on into that merch stuff.
Hmm.
Does Alexa Grasso have a
It'd be a
merch
real
store?
shame. It'd be a real shame. We'd have to take away the Andrew Collins Big Hitters of the Week and just go back to the Big Hitters of the Week. No, but I'm sure there's a shirt somewhere that's for sale.
Yeah, or you can, what is it, Redbubble?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Shout out Redbubble.
Is it not Redbubble?
It is.
It is.
Oh, okay. By the way, can we talk, was there another one that you had to mention? Or that
Oh,
was
no, there's only one this week.
Can we talk about this Jake Gyllenhaal hysteria before we get
Oh
to
my God,
Bone?
can
I
we?
mean, the real star of the weekend, Jeez Louise, just shows up there, freaking.
I mean, let's show the picture.
oh, we got the
weigh-in.
pictures. Jacked. Look at this
Jacked.
guy.
Looks fantastic.
Looks like a real fighter.
He's in sick shape.
Do we think that he's on the stuff?
I don't know.
I'm not about to cast aspersions
No.
on that.
I mean,
I mean,
come
they
on,
were
like,
joking about it at the press conference. Dana, I think, said he wasn't subjected to USADA.
I mean, some
Masada pool.
UFC fighters look this good.
Yeah, he's 42 though.
I mean, but like his whole life was probably committed to getting into crazy shape for this movie.
Here's the thing: Roadhouse. It's an MMA movie.
No, it was not an MMA movie as originally conceived.
No. Obviously, in the 80s, I don't think there was a thing called MMA, but this version.
No, he's a former UFC fighter.
Okay.
And former because in the clip you see him like go extra in
He
the
Paul
ring.
Daly's,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. So
Jay Haran, of all people.
shout out to Jay Haran,
Yeah.
who's been doing acting work for
Yes,
for a
he's
long
one
time.
of
Shout out
the
to him.
most sought after stuntmen in Hollywood.
He's the man. So yeah, he gets bounced from the UFC. I don't think this is a UFC story.
So then what's the premise? He gets bounced and then what?
He becomes a bouncer.
Apropos, because he
Oh,
becomes
wow.
a bouncer.
And where does
If you'd
Connor
like
fit
me-
into all
If
this?
you'd like me to give you the premise, I mean, look at this. I mean, all time. Look at that. Oh, huge knee. Huge
Oh,
knee
my
by Harris.
So what did they do? They did this in the middle of the card?
They did
yeah.
this between like
prelims.
7:45 and 8.
Yeah, between the early prelims and the regular prelims. And so the premise of it is an ex-UFC fighter ends up working at a roadhouse in the Florida Keys where things are not as they seem. And let me tell you, I couldn't be more in.
Wow.
This is work field trip. I mean, look at this. Here we go. We get the lower level.
Oh my gosh.
For the middleweight championship.
I'm just impressed because a movie shoot is usually a painstaking operation that's set up.
They freaking wing this, right?
They got these. But
One take?
It feels real.
Yeah.
No, not one take.
They did this multiple times?
Yeah. I
We
believe so.
don't have the audio on this, but like the crowd was going wild. The crowd played into it incredibly well.
Did they tell the
Smart.
crowd, okay, now we're going to do X, Y, and Z?
I'm sure they made them aware of what was going on.
Well,
I
yeah,
love it. They
because they're-
set it up for the haymaker.
Yeah.
There has to be some kind of disclosure because they're in the film, right? So there has to be some kind of
Sure.
disclosure.
I like how they just walked to that
I mean,
point.
look at it. Oh yeah, Elwood Dalton fighting back.
Look at those massive looping shots.
Oh, huge
Flying
knee.
knee.
But before
Looks
the,
pretty good, Jake.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Before
it.
the weigh-ins, Connor came out and told everybody what was happening because they also did a weigh-in.
Right.
throughout some.
I thought that they would do a press conference or something with Connor and Chandler. Instead, he was
I don't think Connor was.
he resorted to a
Interested.
freaking what he's doing, like hype man stuff for a fake
And
win.
guess what? It worked.
Yeah, I guess it did work.
was
When
awesome.
when Joe Rogan said I'm handing the mic to Conor McGregor, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. You know why Joe Rogan said that? He ain't getting paid for this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah.
Whenever that movie comes out, I'm
But yeah, it looks.
me and Frankie
Looks good.
post work trip to go see Roadhouse.
But what I would like, it's usually like a very careful thing. Let's do multiple shoots. They're just like, hey, we're gonna get the most authentic version of this right now. Let's squeeze it in.
No, super smart.
It looked good.
Super smart.
Look good.
But it was like one of the most talked about things of the weekend.
How could it not be? I mean, Gyllenhaal, the man.
Any clip out there with him? Who else is in this movie other than him and Connor? Any other big names?
That I don't know.
I can tell you right now.
Is there like a love interest? This is Patrick Swayze, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like Daniela Melchior is the love interest.
Is Rhonda in it again, or
No, I think she got
the boot?
the boot. I think she.
Did the other one ever get made?
No, this was the one.
This was the one.
This is the one.
Wow. And Connor took her spot?
I don't think because I don't think he's playing the same character.
Look, she
I
had
think
to move
in the
on.
original conception, she was supposed to be the Jake Gyllenhaal character.
Oh, got it. Wow.
But
Thank God they didn't go that route.
She's not a good actress, huh?
No. I mean, he's one of the bigger names in Hollywood, right? Is he still relevant?
I believe that's correct, by the way. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that's correct.
Is he still
Who?
big time?
Gyllenhaal?
Yeah.
Gyllenhaal
course,
will always
man.
be big time, man.
What's his greatest movie?
Donnie Darko.
He's got a lot of good ones. Prisoners is pretty good too.
Yeah, he's
What's his last
he's good,
great
he's
movie?
He's good in the Spider-Man movies.
Prince of Persia.
Yeah, he was in Spider-Man No Way Home. That was pretty.
Oh yeah, he
good.
was great in
He was
that.
pretty good in that.
Is it Gyllenhaal or Gyllenhaal?
Gyllenhaal.
Come on, man.
Saw him one time in Central Park.
Oh really?
That actually might be the only time I've ever seen him in anything.
What?
Any of the movies, all the movies you just mentioned, never saw.
You should go and see Prisoners. It's on Netflix. I
Yeah,
mean,
that
it's
sounds like
it's
Ariel. He's gonna sit
suspenseful.
down
He was
and
in
watch that for
Jarhead.
sure.
Oh
as
god,
well,
yeah.
right?
Actually,
sure.
if you have kids, it'd be a tough watch.
Oh wait,
Nightcrawler.
I take that back. He made his acting debut in City Slickers. Definitely seen that.
Wow. Billy
He's in
Crystal.
Brokeback Mountain.
What is
No chance Ariel saw Brokeback.
no? What is his role in City Slickers?
He was a child.
He must have been 12 years
Yeah.
old at that time, so I'm sure he was like an extra.
What a legend! I had no. Did you guys know that?
I knew
No,
that.
I did not know that.
By the way, so smart to do this because I see all these articles written about it. Like it's just free marketing, right?
Yeah, and you're not really giving away much because it's the beginning, right? It's not the end. It's
Nah.
not a spoiler.
And just like the way he looked.
Oh
is-
yeah, like the advertising, quote unquote advertising for the movie, the marketing
Right.
was huge. Now I'm gonna go see it.
If you're a
As
UFC
soon as it
fan,
comes
you're
out.
probably gonna
Can't
go
wait.
see it now.
Can't wait.
He has 11 things upcoming according to IMDb. 11.
Oh, he was in
Is he, man?
Zodiac too.
Is he, man?
Man,
Good.
Yeah, that's
Zodiac was amazing.
that might be his best movie.
I mean, Gyllenhaal's the man, dude.
he was in a Jay-Z and Beyonce video, a
yeah.
music video.
Yeah, that's true.
What?
He's hot in the streets, bro.
The only thing, Prince of Persia, I mean, they couldn't find someone else
Why?
because it's based in Persia.
Oh.
That movie bombed anyway.
He was also in a Jamie Foxx music video. Oh, Brokeback Mountain. Here it is. Good girl,
Yeah, there
Donnie
you go.
Darko. Did you guys see the Chris Rock special everyone else is talking
I
about?
haven't watched
Nah.
it yet. I
Didn't
plan
even
to.
know it came up.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, I've been so busy in Miami and whatnot. I didn't have time for all this stuff, if I'm being honest.
Wow, busy guy in Miami, huh?
Welcome
Yeah,
to
Jose says-
Miami.
Jose says the fight scene was only one take. The weigh-ins was multiple takes, but the fight scene really was.
Yeah, they had to squeeze it in there, right?
Yeah.
What if all the fights went the distance?
They just delay the prelims.
I'm sure Roadhouse paid enough that they would have
Yeah, I'm
found
sure.
time.
No, because you got to go to 10 o'clock. Like there's markers. You can't. They might have done it after the event then.
I'm gonna guess that they just did proper planning.
Yeah. All right. No, I'm just saying. Sometimes they run up against the clock if everything goes the distance.
Well, when they were interviewing, who was it? Maybe Cody Garbrandt or someone. They were just like, we don't have a ton of time. Or maybe it was Marc-Andre Barriault.
I'm sure they would have.
They interviewed someone and they were like, oh, we don't have a ton of time. We got to get Gyllenhaal.
For sure, it was Andre Barriault. That anti-Canadian bias.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, one more guest to go. Let's talk to a man who had a massive win. Opening fight of the main card. Or someone said on Twitter that I am driving the Bo Nickal hype train at this point. I don't think that's the case, but it's 4 wins, 4 appearances on this show. Let's get to number 4. Mr. Bo Nickal is joining us right now. Hello, Bo. How are you?
What up, Ariel? How we doing?
Not bad. Are you mad at me or something? What's going on?
No, I'm just tired, man.
It's a lot of
No,
talking.
I'm excited to be on here, but yeah, a long week. A lot of media. I just did a little more media and all that. So yeah, a lot of talking, but I'm excited to be on, man. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
Of course, but you see, this is going to happen soon. Like we're like 2 fights away from you not coming on Monday. You're going to be impossible to get. This is happening. I just want you to know whether you like it or not. And we're already seeing like the early stages of it. But here's the thing: this is where you can let your hair down. You don't have to be Bo Nickal superstar. Just be yourself. Just hang out, chill out. I just want to let you know you don't have to impress us here.
I'm not worried about impressing you, man.
Okay.
I think that I'm not cooking any well done steak, so
perfect.
It's all good. I'm not going to press you.
Well, you were cooking with Gaz all week. How about that? You came in. I'm not a big car guy. What was that car that you showed up in for the? I think it was the presser on Thursday. What was that car?
Yeah, I rolled up in a Rolls. So normally I'm like rocking the minivan for most of the fight week, but the Rolls seemed appropriate. My management team was like, "Yo, this is your first one. Let's do it right." So yeah, they hooked it up, and yeah, I didn't mind.
It was fantastic. But in classic Twitter form, people are like, "Oh, you're supposed to get out of the back seat, not the front seat." I mean, come on with these guys. Did you get some of that shit?
Yeah, people always are gonna like say something like that. I'm like, dude, I'm going out of a Rolls Royce to go to the press conference of UFC 285 pay-per-view. Like, I don't care what you say, so it's all good.
How was, I'm going to ask you about the fight, obviously, but just like the whole experience, pay-per-view, Jon Jones, Vegas, now that it's all come and gone, and you're probably like, if you were a gas meter on a car, you're probably very close to empty at this point, and understandably so. How was the whole week for you?
The whole week was great. It was super awesome to kind of see everything that is involved in the event. It's such a big production. There's so much that goes on, and for me, I'm used to a little media here and there, right? Like we did a press conference for the NCAA tournament and stuff, but this like is a whole different beast. And so to be able to manage that, and I don't want to just manage and get through my interviews and like be a grump about it. Like most guys are cutting weight and they're like gonna be like complaining and stuff. Like I'm gonna be excited and do my thing and be fully engaged and all in. And so I enjoyed everything, the whole process, and was able to kind of manage the, I guess, excitement, the buzz, and I feel like pretty much went exactly as expected.
We talked about you not being a stranger fighting in front of a crowd, but here you are, first UFC fight officially, Vegas, crowd, all that. Were there nerves?
Absolutely, a ton of nerves. So it was kind of interesting. I knew how I was going to react because I've been in situations like that. So typically I know what I'm going to feel. So when I start feeling the nerves, I start what my strategy is to cope with that is to just think about what I'm actually physically doing in the fight, right? Like make it simple. Like what's my game plan? What's my strategy? What are my first steps? Focus on that. Just think about that. And that way I'm not like kind of like a deer in the headlights. I just get to think about what I need to do and make it very much task oriented. And so that's what I'm thinking about back behind the curtains before I'm about to walk out. And you can kind of see it on the video of the fight. I just rewatched it for the first time, but I start to walk out and I'm very serious, very business. And then the people are all high-fiving me and I just start grinning. And I'm just smiling. I'm just like, let's go. Like everybody's cheering for me. And then at that moment I was like, dude, like have some fun, embrace this, look around, like enjoy it. And then all the nerves really went away, Wow. So I was just excited to be there. And the least nervous I was, like the closer I got to the cage, the less nervous I was. And the least amount of nerves were like once I got in the cage. I was like, I was shocked how at peace I felt and how calm I felt, and just at home, because in my experience, typically it's kind of you still have a lot of nerves at that point, but I was like not nervous at all once I got in there.
So complete body of work, another great win, another finish, very dominant. How would you assess the entire performance? Are you happy with it?
Yeah, it was definitely super cool to whiff on a head kick and fall down in front of all those people. Yeah. So that was fun. Had to overcome a little adversity. But yeah, I look at the fight and I think there was things I could have done better. Still got the finish in the first round, didn't get hit. So 2 amateur fights, 4 pro fights, haven't got hit, still pretty, which is always nice, healthy. And yeah, I mean, I don't think I did anything spectacular. I didn't do anything that was like, wow, like blow him out of the water, but I smashed the guy. So is what it is. So
what about this knee that he seems upset about? His manager seems the internet is upset about it. Was it a low blow? Tell me about it.
Right. So I think I want to say a couple things. So I don't think I think his manager is upset about it. I don't think he's upset about it because after the fight, he was like dapping me up, telling me like, you know, thank you for the fight. And that, you know, he told me, go get that belt. Like he was excited, like for me almost. And I think if I actually had kneed him in the nuts, he wouldn't have felt like that. And, you know, for me, when I look back on the film, I see I see like the angle that people see, and it's completely different from what actually happened because I got him right on the inside of the thigh. And so I saw his reaction. I don't think I know for a fact I didn't actually hit him in the nuts. There's two possible scenarios. Either it hurt him like where I hit him because, I mean, I definitely hit him on the thigh and landed it. Or two, he was trying to like fake like I hit him in the nuts and then get off the cage, which would make sense too because I obviously had a big advantage at that point. We're also like 20 seconds into the fight. But yeah, for me, like I know I didn't hit him low. I hit him right in the leg. And but people are going to say what they want to say, and the video is what it is. But there's no doubt in my mind that I didn't hit him low.
Does that annoy you that it feels like people are trying to take something away from the win?
Yeah, it's just like a weird thing to do, you know. Like I would just never. I don't relate to those people, and I think the people that do that have just like have never competed and have no common ground with me, not only in like what we do on a daily basis, but in general, just because they've never been in that situation and don't understand what it takes. And so it's just kind of a weird thing to try to do. Like I would never, I mean, I'm not like the type of person to try to discredit anything. And at the end of the day, like just grow up.
Yeah. What about the finish? I thought the broadcast was really interesting. Did you watch the fight back?
I was just able to for the first time like a little bit ago.
And I was just talking to Anthony Smith about this. He was on earlier. And I think it was DC, it might have been Rogan, who was saying, if you just like, you know, moved this way and leveled your chest to the mat, the choke would have come a lot sooner. And yet Anthony brought up something that I thought was really interesting, that like as a wrestler, you actually want to be closer and feel your opponent. So maybe those instincts were kicking in at that point. Looking back now, your assessment of that, do you think you could have ended him sooner? And if so, why didn't you do that?
You know, I think the only way for me to have ended him sooner would have been to let go and get a different submission.
Oh, wow.
Because, you know, I know what they're trying to say as far as like technically what the way most people like to finish that position arm triangle is get out to the side, right? And like finish from side and put your knee on their hip. Like everybody does that, but that's not how I finish arm triangle. And that's, in my opinion, not the best way to finish arm triangle. So, you know, of course we got high level guys, DC, Anthony, Joe, guys that have competed, and they have their ways that they like to finish their strategy. And I don't do that. I stay in mount or I stay in half guard. I don't really finish arm triangle ever from side. And that's just my preference. I have more control there. And when you go into side, there's just more opportunities for my opponent to roll. And I already didn't have him flat on his back. So I just needed to hold position there. And so in my mind, I wasn't really squeezing hard at the beginning. I was just holding him there and trying to work his arm above his head and get his back flat. And I ideally would have liked to go to mount, but he was pinching my foot and keeping it trapped so that I couldn't go to mount. But yeah, I think that from a technical aspect, I have my way I like to finish that. And like, if you're a fan and you're telling me this and that, like, I don't really respect that because you don't know what you're talking about. Like, I'm not a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but I pretty much might as well be, especially in that position. And I feel like I know what I'm doing. So yeah.
F off.
Basically that. But like, I mean, guys like DC, Joe, Anthony, I mean, we could obviously talk about that in a sense. Like, we're training in practice. I'd be like, guys, this is how I like to finish. This is my strategy here. And as soon as I showed them that, I'm sure they'd be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like, maybe I like to finish it a different way, but everybody's different. And I choked them out. So we're good to go.
For me, it was actually super impressive because it just kind of showed off your strength, right? Because like, I felt like you were taking the harder route to finish it, and you were just showing your pure strength. So I don't think it was a bad thing.
It was no, there was two ways to go about it. Like, I felt like I had him. I was like, all right, I've got a lot of time here. If I let go of this, then I could do something else, or I can just slowly work him to a point where I know I'm going to get it. So it was like, take the route that took a little longer. If it was more of a sure thing, or take the route that is a little more volatile that could be quicker. And I was like, I'm just going to do the sure thing because I want to finish.
What were you saying after the fight, like on the cage? You were very fired up. Do you remember what you were saying? I loved it.
Is this a rhetorical question or
no? I think you were saying like I'm the man or this is my house, but I couldn't quite make out.
I said I'm that dude. Y'all can't mess with me.
Yes, I liked it. I mean, it doesn't sound as menacing as you say it this way, but it was still pretty great.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's the facts. I mean, of course, I'm like the most fired up possible in that moment. So I'm just going to say exactly how I feel. And generally, I can keep it a little more controlled and be a little more relaxed. But in that moment, it was like,
no, I liked it.
That's the truth.
I liked the emotion. It felt good. It felt good to see you, kind of let your hair down, like I said, and just like let it all out. There's a lot of pressure on your shoulders, right? I mean, it's not easy to have all this expectation every time, and people are now expecting a first-round finish. And God forbid you go into the second round. Oh my God, what are they going to say about you then? That's a lot of pressure.
Yo, if I go, I swear, as soon as I go in the second round, hype train, this dude sucks.
Done.
Like, I'm gonna get hit. I haven't been hit one time. I'm gonna get hit. I'm gonna get leg kicked. I'm gonna get calf kicked once, and then I'm gonna finish the dude, and then everybody's gonna say, "See, he sucks."
Did you see this?
That's what's gonna happen.
Did you see this quote from Michael Chandler?
I did. Yeah, I did.
For those that didn't see it, this is what he said. He said, "You, Bo Nickal, have quote exponential potential," end quote. But he also said, "You are getting a little bit too talky for the average fan's liking. I think it's a little unbecoming to come into the UFC off Contender Series and talk about fighting Khamzat Chimaev." Your response?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Like, I think that there's a lot of wisdom in that statement. I think Michael Chandler is a fan of me. I think Michael Chandler wants me to win. First off, he said my potential is exponential. So let's listen to what he's actually saying, right? Like, he's talking about it in a perspective of the fans, and if I say, yo, give me Khamzat, I'll violate this guy. 99% of MMA fans are going to say, Bo Nickal is an idiot, right? Like, they don't know what they're talking about. And so that's the perspective I think Chandler's taking, especially when I hear you read the quote. He's not hating on me at all. And, does he have room? He's not even a guy that I don't think would do that because he's always been cool to me. Like, he's always been nice to me. He's a wrestler. And so first off, a guy that is as big as Michael Chandler is talking about a guy that just made his UFC debut. So that's a big deal. But secondly, I don't really feel like he's trying to like put me down. He's just trying to, I think that's how he sees it. He's not saying like, yo, Bo, slow your roll, Khamzat would smash you. He's saying, if you say these things, the fans are going to perceive it a certain way, which is true.
All right. Yeah, that's fair. And that's a very good take on that. By the way, did you hear Jamie's walkout music? Did that annoy you at all?
Murderer, that one?
I know what Bo don't know. That's a line in that song. I thought that was a deep cut.
Really?
I thought that was a deep cut. Touch him up and go. Uh-oh. Dang, dang. Here comes the hot stuff. But I heard that line and I thought that was a bit of a shot, no?
No, it was a shot. We're fighting.
Yeah.
So.
You didn't realize that in the moment.
No, I didn't. I didn't realize that. I was just chilling back there, bobbing. I'm like, "This is a good song." Like,
yeah,
nice. Let's go. I like when my opponents have a good walkout. It makes it a whole everything better. Like, it's just more exciting for everyone.
Overall, did you come back? Like, did you watch the Jones fight in the arena, or did you watch it in the back? What did you do?
So I was able to get back to my Airbnb and throw it up on the TV. So I got to watch it. That was the only fight I got to watch. I didn't get to watch any others.
What did you think of his performance? Crazy, right?
Beautiful. That was he was exactly right. It was a mismatch, and that I said this. I predicted a fourth round finish. I predicted a finish later in the rounds. I thought that he would eventually wear Cyril down and do what he did to him. To do it when he's fresh, taking a page out of my book, to be honest. Like, nice, bro. Throw his ass down and freaking finish him. So I think that Jon could have done that at any point to anybody in his career for the most part. Like, you look at his last fights against Smith and against Dominic Reyes, against Thiago, I think if he wanted to do that to them, he would have done it. He was just a little bored. Like, it's weird to say because he's competing against such great opponents, but he's just really freaking good.
You think he does that to Stipe?
It'll be a more competitive fight, but I would think that I don't think he'll try to do that to Stipe. I think he'll strike with him. I think maybe if he wanted to do that to Stipe, that he could, but I don't think he'll fight him the same way.
Okay. Because the Stipe is wrestling too, right? Stipe has much better wrestling than
Stipe has much better wrestling. You know, Jon Jones, I think Jon Jones is obviously a crazy athlete, longest reach in MMA, and, you know, great cardio, great balance, athleticism, all that. But he's smart. He's smarter. He's probably the smartest fighter to, you know, him and GSP and Khabib are probably like the three smartest fighters ever. And he's going to win in the best way for him to win. Whether that's a little more, like sometimes I think later in his career, he took a little more of a difficult path, like I said, with Reyes and the other guys. But he's going to win. He's going to make sure he wins the fight. That's the bottom line.
Best thing about the whole week for you? Best moment, thing that will stick out?
The best moment of the whole week. I think there was a couple that come to mind. The first moment that comes to mind is being back in my dressing room, in the locker room, warming up. I got like a couple minutes before I'm about to walk out, and I'm sharing a locker room with Jones, and he comes in, and I'm like, this is crazy. Immediately, like, we got a mat, and he's like, let's wrestle, bro. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. We started like doing our thing. And immediately I was like, this is nuts. Like, you know, he rolled in with 30 people, like his crew's like awesome. Everybody was good vibes. Starts putting Bible verses, scriptures all around, like taping them up, and was able to, like, him, me, Anthony Cassar, and his pastor, we like said a prayer before the fight. Like, he invited me to be a part of that with him. And it was just really, really cool to do that. And it got me like in the right place mentally to fight, for sure. Like, I was already there, but that put me like over the top. So, you know, of course that was cool. Walking out, hearing the fans' reception, them cheering for me. You know, I've said this a couple times since, like, in my post-fight, but at Penn State, like, I already have a built-in fan base that they love me because I'm wearing blue and white. And of course they got to know me more and they love me for how I competed, but they're going to cheer for Penn State no matter what. You go into the UFC, like, there's no Penn State. There's no, it's you. And to get the reception I did, I was very grateful, and I felt very, very humble that people would want to, that they appreciate what I do. And I would say the last thing that really sticks out was just getting In-N-Out Burger and smashing some In-N-Out with all my bros, my wife, and all my loved ones post-fight at the Airbnb. That was really cool too.
Animal style? Did you go animal style?
Oh yeah, we got it all. We had, like, there was a bunch of us. We got like 30 burgers. I think I ate 5. So.
Oh my gosh, 5 burgers? Animal. Guess what? Those burgers were well done. I can assure you of that.
It's a different thing, dude.
I'm just saying.
Smash burger, bro.
I'm just saying. By the way, speaking of Penn State, what's this Thon thing that I saw you walk out in front of all these people? What is that?
Yeah, so Thon is like one of the largest philanthropy events in the world. It's they raise money for pediatric cancer, and it's I believe they do 48 or 46 hours straight. It's a dance marathon. So
wow.
There's dancers that are designated, and they stay on their feet and dance for 40 something hours straight and raise money. They usually raise, like, I think this year they raised $14 million for pediatric cancer.
Wow. That's incredible. I saw the crowd that you walked out to. That's at Penn State, right?
Yeah, it's a big thing at Penn State. So they do that at a few Big Ten universities, but Penn State's by far the biggest. And yeah, they just had me go out and hype up the dancers, right? Because they've been dancing at that point for 30 plus hours, and they need a little motivation. So yeah, it was really, I was grateful to be a part of it.
2 last things, and we'll let you go. When do you want to return?
International Fight Week, maybe August at the latest.
Nice.
So that's what I'm eyeing right now.
Love it. Any name?
Whoever is trying to get smashed.
Love it. Last thing. I know NCAA tournament's coming up. Wrestling, it's not that, like there's just so much, right? But I want to get into it. And DC's always telling me stuff. And every time I watch it, I'm into it. It's hard to find. Gable's on, I watch it. Can you give me a name or two that I need to watch?
Yep. Roman Bravo Young.
Know him, yeah.
Carter Starachi.
Okay.
Aaron Brooks. Greg Kirkfleet. Max Dean. Alex Facundo. Shane Van Ness. Bo Bartlett. Let me see here. Am I missing anybody? I think that's the entire Penn State lineup.
Oh, that was the whole team? I know Roman is a Penn State guy. That's the entire squad. Any one of those guys? Is Roman going to do MMA?
Oh. Is Roman going to do MMA? I hope.
I hope.
And the last one, I forgot one guy, and he's a friggin' monster. Levi Haynes, true freshman Big Ten champion. Y'all keep your eye on Levi Haynes, 18 years old, competing against 23, 24-year-old guys, just won the Big Ten tournament, #1 ranked kid in the country right now. And Pennsylvania kid, savage. So Levi Haynes is another one. Y'all keep your eyes peeled.
Do you help these guys prepare? Are you allowed to do that to help them prepare for the tournament?
Yeah.
That's okay. Okay. You're not you're not on the staff though, right?
No.
But you're allowed to help
I'm not
them.
on the staff, but I'm able to train with them. I'm able to help them and stuff. And I just try to, more than anything, like be a friend and talk with them and give them insight into like my mentality, how I approach a match, right? Because they know how to wrestle, right? These kids been wrestling since they were in diapers. And so I'm just more like help them with how to handle the pressure and relax and do their best. But yeah, like being able to do that and being able to just be around them, it still motivates me and lifts me up.
Great stuff, man. Appreciate you doing this. Thank you so much, Bo. Congrats on the first official UFC win, and hopefully you get some time to rest now and not talk about yourself. I'm sure you're looking forward to that. Thank you so much, and congrats again. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Errol. Appreciate you.
All right, there he is, Bo Nickal. What a guy. What a performance. So there you have it. There's his take on the knee situation, and, he was winning that fight. He was winning that fight. You want it to be fair, and it's hard to truly tell. But that's sport. Sometimes you miss things. It's like you watch basketball and the ref misses a traveling call. You watch soccer and the guy's offside and they miss. That's obviously every moment matters in fighting, and it could be detrimental to your health. You can't continue all that and more. But that was a fight that was set up for Bo Nickal to win. And what about that spin on the Michael Chandler quote? You got to like that. As we said, this man, he's used to this stuff, yes?
It's just what he does, man. It's just what he does.
That's just what he does.
Professional.
It's rare for people to actually take things at face value, right? Because he's right. If you listen to what Michael Chandler is saying, he's not discrediting him. He's just suggesting XYZ, one thing or another. But many people would take that as offense. I think it's a feather in his cap, to be honest.
Yeah, people are talking about him. He's 4-0.
Yeah. But I also think I don't agree with Michael Chandler, if I'm being honest.
In what respect?
Like, one of the main reasons people talk about him is because they care about what he has to say about those matchups. And I'm okay with him being confident enough to say,
1,000%.
I want to fight Khamzat Chimaev. I don't agree.
This is why I like him.
Yeah.
By the way, if you say this stuff and you back it up and you keep winning in the first round, then God bless.
Yeah. Khamzat Chimaev was once the guy saying these things.
Yeah.
That's how he became Khamzat Chimaev. So I'm okay with
Conor McGregor was once the guy saying these things, and that's how everyone fell in love with him. There's nothing wrong.
I'm saying even the guy that you're talking about as like this shining example is literally the guy who in his first fight said, I'm going to smash everybody, line up the champions both on the same night. I'm going to smash them. And now, yeah, he's there. And if Bo Nickal gets there, he'll be just as popular. So I don't necessarily agree with Chandler, but I do respect Bo Nickal for being able to parse out the words that he was saying and not take it as offense. Because I don't think Michael Chandler meant to offend him anyway. But I don't agree.
If you're driving the Bo Nickal hype train, I'm sitting passenger.
Oh my God.
Shotgun.
Yeah.
Love Bo Nickal. What a guy. Although I didn't mention, he was tired. I didn't mention the hair, but I do wish the hair was
You did
I
say
have
let
full
your hair
faith it's
down
gonna
like
come
8
back.
I did,
times,
yeah. You know what? It's clear that it was on my mind, right?
No, I was like, I think he's signaling to him right now to bring up the hair.
By the way, did you guys see this Aljamain Sterling Henry Cejudo clip?
Yeah.
Yes.
Fake?
Probably, yeah. Work as they
Fake
call
is
it in
relative.
business.
Wow. Pro wrestling.
Yeah, I'm
jargon.
that. Did you see the Henry Cejudo training Jon Jones clip?
Oh, that's great stuff.
That was great.
That is
stuff.
amazing stuff.
Especially when you put like the side by side of him having Cyril Gane on the fence.
Oh, our old ESPN colleague Michael Wansover doing great stuff with Cejudo. Yes.
Can I say I love these types of clips? By the way, I'm not trying to disparage these clips.
He's about to
I
disparage
love.
Let's go.
I love these
Disparage
types
the
of
shit
clips.
out of it. Come on.
But it kind of implies that like Jon Jones wouldn't have done this unless he was sitting in that room with Henry Cejudo and like that specific thing.
Of course.
Never know.
Tata. It's like
Never know.
Jon Jones is the best fighter who's ever lived. I'm confident that he could have figured out that position.
No chance. By the way, someone at the press conference, I think, asked John about Cejudo, and he's like, yeah, he's all right, but can I give credit to my actual coaches?
Yeah.
It was a very, you know what's one of my favorite examples of this? It's GSP and Freddie Roach. Remember when we always used to ask GSP about Freddie Roach, and he was like, yeah, cool, like I went to him twice, but what about these guys that I actually train with?
I don't want to go too far the other direction.
All right, fine.
Henry Cejudo is a really good coach, I think. Like, I think the proof is in the pudding. A lot of the fighters he's working with are showing real success and skills. But also, like, he's Jon freaking Jones.
It's Jon Jones.
Yeah.
Like,
someone was like, is Cejudo him? It's like, well, he was a double champion and Olympic gold medalist. He probably knows what he's talking about.
If you listen to Henry Cejudo when it comes to fighting, you're probably going to be pretty good off, like well
you'll
off.
Probably
like,
be better off than if not.
He knows how to fight. That's for damn sure. Fake is relative. I don't know about this Aljamain and Henry thing.
Selling the fight.
Selling the fight, I guess. Just don't try too hard.
Well, it just comes from a place. Does anybody actually believe that these two don't like each other?
Hey, and can we stop with the names?
No, that's the gimmick.
Henry Cejudo and all this stuff. Like, stop with it.
That's the gimmick.
Stain, whatever he says.
Stop. Are you going to do a watch party for Tough?
Yeah, oh, for sure.
What do you think of the...
From my couch.
Yeah. By the way, I don't think anyone would care. What do you think of the...
Can I be on that?
The cast?
Yeah, love it.
Jason Knight, Roosevelt Roberts, Kurt Hollabaugh, Austin Hubbard, Lee Hammond, Cody Gibson.
Yeah, Roosevelt Roberts.
Brad Katona, Timur Valiev. I think Brad Katona is on Team
Timur
Chandler,
Valiev's huge.
even though he's an SBG guy. Anyway.
Honestly, whoever you put on there, I'm going to be excited.
I like the fact that it's a lot of ex-UFC guys. I was just, I guess, hoping for some bigger names, right?
But wouldn't they be in the UFC?
Yeah, I'm cool with it. I love it.
Not necessarily.
I love it.
The UFC...
Imagine it was Platinum Perry type of guys.
No, come on, man.
I hope we do like a reaction roundtable like some outlets do for like The Bachelor. Like you react to each episode.
This is what I'm suggesting you do.
That's what I want.
I'm suggesting.
Well, I know AK Lee does something. I don't want to completely approach into him. I'd like to work with him. Something.
Yeah.
I'd really like to do a reaction thing with.
Wow.
Because I'm going to be locked in. I'm like
you're locked in.
Summer reality show every episode. Yeah.
Everything.
Absolutely. 100%.
Hijinks included, not just the fights. Because there's some people who are like, I just watch the fights.
Oh no, I'll watch everything.
Actually, I'll just watch the fight.
I'll watch the 1000% more than I will the fights.
Oh my God, who are the people? I feel like I know these people off the top of.
Also, one quick thing: like the Cejudo Aljamain Sterling fight, isn't that supposed to be happening on the May 6th Jersey card?
Yes.
So what is everyone talking about the Cinco de Mayo?
Yeah, I don't understand. Unless they're going to pull the plug on it, which would be really bad for them, and I don't think
feels like
would.
They're already booked, right? Or would they do like a Friday night fights thing and double UFC weekend?
Yeah,
feels like a lot.
Yeah, I wonder if they regret it now. You can't do that to Jersey. Jersey stood by. I mean, honestly, Jersey's been spat in the face. All these events going to MSG.
Yeah,
they used to go to Jersey all the time when New York wasn't legalizing MMA.
Making my first trip to the Rock tomorrow night.
What are you going to see?
For what?
The Devils.
Devils against?
Oh, nice.
Leafs.
Wow.
Big matchup in the NHL.
Yeah. Why?
One of my boys is a diehard Leafs fan.
Really?
Yeah. From Toronto.
Wait, is this the guy that I used to work with at ESPN?
Yeah.
Ryan?
That's him. Yeah. Wow.
Yes, that's my guy.
Memory.
That's my
That's
guy.
him.
He used to text me about hockey all the time.
Oh yeah, diehard Leafs fan. He's got the hookup at the Rock, so I'll be in attendance, cheering for the Devils, of course.
Of course.
Support
Jersey or no
my
jersey?
own. No jersey, hat. Haven't gotten the jersey for jersey yet.
Right.
We'll be rocking the hat.
Well, yeah. I don't know what they're doing with that. I saw the comments from Dana White, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
every time I saw that, I was like,
would be kind of crazy to have Cejudo fight on Cinco de Mayo. I mean, Jersey, not exactly a prominent. I guess you could say
there's quite a few.
Yeah. So just put and also like Alexa Grasso ain't fighting on May 6th. That's not fair to her. She just fought. That's in 2 months.
Yeah. True. Very true.
And Yair, I think Yair
feels like it's not going to happen.
By the way, last I was hearing, maybe International Fight Week, Yair. Maybe. Can you imagine that?
Yair Volk.
Yair Volk. Yeah, against Volk.
Down.
Yeah. Islam,
3 title fights on that one?
Possible, but Islam's not fight. And by the way, useless. Why? Jones, honestly, Jones versus Stipe could do the whole.
You don't need to put anything else.
And the Yair thing might have been even before Jones won. So now that I'm thinking, like, you don't need to put another title fight on that card. Stack it like they did this one, but I don't think you need another title.
Second title fight.
Or put a title fight that maybe needs a little elevating. Although putting Volk in there would be nice.
I mean, according to you, Brandon Moreno, Alejandro Pantoja needs a little oomph. Put it on there.
Honestly, that's the type of fight I would put there. That's exactly the type of fight.
Yeah.
Are you trying to say that fight could sell a pay-per-view on its own?
No, I never said that.
Seems like you're saying that.
First of all, you're moving the goalposts, changing the narrative here. We were talking about local Mexican interests.
I say I like pancakes. You're saying I hate waffles. Come on, man.
Grasso, they did a mural for her.
Fast.
Yeah, I love
I think she won, and the dude immediately walked outside and started paying.
They love a good mural over there. They did one for Yair too. I don't know if it was in the same spot, but also in Mexico.
We're in America. Where's the Jon Jones mural?
That's the thing about American fans, by the way. They don't embrace. Why don't they embrace the fighters like they do in other places?
That's what I was wondering, because I was sitting there when I was cheering for Gane. I was like, man, am I kind of a fraud for not supporting the American here? But like, I don't know. Like, are we oversaturated with how many Americans there are?
I think it's partially that. I think there's also there's such a drastic difference between the states and things. I think there's more unity between other parts of other countries.
I feel like the states are where we have our pride.
Yeah, the states seem to get the pride for sure.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe, but I don't feel. I've never felt. Who's the most popular American fighter of all time?
Muhammad Ali.
Jones, no?
No, I'm playing UFC.
Okay.
Wait, what?
He said Muhammad Ali. And by the way, there was a time where Muhammad Ali was despised in this country.
I thought you were saying no to me. I feel like it's Jon Jones who's more popular than Jon.
Do you think Jon Jones is the most popular American fighter of all time? Really? Like more popular than Chuck Liddell? Chuck Liddell.
Oh, you know what?
You
might have got one.
Yeah.
It's between Jon and Chuck.
Randy was pretty high up there.
Nah, not more than Chuck.
Man, Randy was beloved. UFC 68, Columbus.
Chuck is a mainstream.
No, I know. That's why I think Chuck bigger. What a debate this is. Bigger star in their prime, Chuck or Jon? I think Chuck.
It always comes down to what you mean by bigger.
I mean, just more mainstream.
Yeah, probably Chuck.
Chuck Entourage. Everyone still brings up the ESPN the magazine thing.
I just mean like,
even though it's not a thing anymore.
There was a time where people like would be asking about Chuck Liddell, would be asking about UFC.
Didn't someone make the fake Chuck Liddell mascot thing that looks so lifelike?
Casey raises a really good one. Ronda's up there in terms of biggest American.
Okay, so was Ronda bigger than Chuck? Maybe.
I mean, there's an argument.
Yeah.
She might have been the biggest. She might have been the biggest.
Just made it underrated.
She was literally going to be in this Roadhouse movie that
She was also on Entourage.
Is now happening. Yeah, she beat up Turtle, right? I think I remember that.
Or his car. Ronda bigger than Jon.
I think Ronda's the answer.
Yeah. See, Chuck gets the love because he was a catalyst in the explosion.
Sure.
Ronda came after the explosion, but definitely took it to greater heights and also exposed the sport to a new audience.
Ronda also benefits from the Conor thing happening at a similar time. So the sport was exploding, and now Ronda and Conor are the faces of it. So, yeah, it's probably Ronda.
But I will just say, and it's not fair to Ronda, her pushing the sport away for the last few years, I think, in the end, will hurt her legacy in that she won't be one of those people. Like Conor, I think, will always kind of just be around MMA in some way, shape, or form. I think she has pushed MMA away. So as time goes on, her impact will fizzle. Like it will be, you know how people think like, oh, Rampage Jackson was a bum, you know, because they see him now. It will be harder to remember her impact. Do you get what I'm saying?
I do, but I don't think
especially
that's
for the
up
newer
to
fans.
her.
No,
I don't think that's up to her to carry the torch for. I think people will always remember Ronda, and they will be the ones that carry her legacy. I don't think it really has much of an impact from her. Like the fans will still remember Ronda Rousey, and they will still talk about Ronda Rousey, regardless of how she. And for some good and some bad, the things that they say about Ronda Rousey, I think, will change based on what you're saying.
I wish she wouldn't push the sport away so much.
Sure,
you know,
I agree with that.
That's all.
But yeah, I think she will be. I think her legacy is pretty secure.
One last thing, pleasantly surprised, and hopefully we see more of this as we approach November. I saw Mark Coleman out there, Don Fry out there. Hopefully the UFC leaning more and more into this. Let's celebrate the legends who made this sport, who made this organization what it is as we approach the 30th anniversary. Love that stuff. I want to see more of that stuff. International Fight Week, every time they go, you know, like let's say they're in Florida next month. I don't know, bring out some dudes from Florida to do the same thing. They're in Jersey, bring out some Jersey guys. Vegas.
Frankie Edgar just sitting right there.
Yeah.
The mayor.
Let's just freaking start celebrating these guys more. And you know what? It means something to them. You could tell. It means something to them.
Not only that, but it just feels big. And also you get like the Connors and the Nates and people showing out for the spectacle of it all.
Oh yeah, Nate and Nick showing up.
It feels
Jeez
big.
Louise.
It just feels big. I mean, Jon Jones, man.
Jon Jones.
Bring him out.
Connor is up there. What about the shot where they say, here's Connor with Jake Gyllenhaal, and like Connor's got his shirt wide open and his wife is just
it's like she's rubbing like what, Vaseline or NyQuil
it was
or whatever
incredible.
on his chest.
It was the whole thing was incredible.
Yeah, Vicks Vapor Rub.
What a scene it was.
I mean, it was ridiculous. And like she didn't stop either once they got on camera, and he's just like, yeah.
It was like one step removed from like just feeding him grapes in the moment. Like
and then
fanning him off.
Gyllenhaal look at each other and they both burst out laughing. Like it's just like.
Do you think they were just hanging out?
It was ridiculous.
Do you think they were talking to each other? Like,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
they're co-stars, bro.
Yeah,
they're about to win some Oscars. What are you talking about?
So? When is it coming out?
I don't know. It doesn't say. So probably next year.
Well, guess what? All this movie talk, wouldn't you know it? We got an actual movie star coming in studio on Wednesday. How about that?
Yeah, who is
Michael Rappaport.
Gyllenhaal?
Our guy.
Okay,
we could ask him about the scenes. Oh, that would be good. We play him the scenes. Has he been in any fight movies?
I don't think that's his forte.
No. He was in a
just
couple.
Higher Learning, right?
Yeah, he was in that scene. Anyway, we can play him the stuff, ask him if Jake is on the juice and all that stuff. Right? Feels like a nice
stand for this slander.
Feels like a nice thread. All right, guys. Well, that's a good tease for Wednesday's show. Any final thoughts from you, Frank?
Just thought maybe you shouldn't have mentioned the Wednesday show because now you kind of jinxed it.
I totally jinxed it. You know, as I was saying it,
I was like, why is he doing this?
What'd you jinx? Him not showing up?
Yeah, I always feel like.
Nah, he's reliable. Yeah, we got it. We got it in the bag.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, we had him pretty much.
Wait a minute. What did he predict? He predicted a Jon Jones finish.
Yes. The other thing is.
Oh, yeah, third round. Damn.
You know, the other thing is he claims we made a bet. I don't actually think we made a bet. I'm going to stick, like, I think he wants a coffee or something, right? He said Jones round.
Said something, yeah.
Did he say
I don't
Jones
think it was
round
like,
3 or Jones inside 3?
I think he said inside 3. He might have been spot on.
It's via text.
I don't think you like countered him as a bet necessarily.
No.
I think you just agreed like, yeah, if you get it right, come in and we'll
Listen,
we'll
we
do
got a
this
coffee
thing.
machine here. We can get him a coffee.
Is it good? I think he said he wanted a venti, like he wanted something.
Oh, he wants
he wanted a
Starbucks.
specific
Okay.
order, yeah.
Yeah. Frank, can you grab that for him on Monday? Or
Yeah,
on
I'll get
Wednesday?
right on that.
Thank you. He said Jones in 3.
Oh?
Yeah, so inside 3.
You think he's like a iced coffee kind of guy or like a mocha frappuccino kind of guy?
I don't know. While you're at it, Frank, let me go ahead and jot something down on the order. Let's just make this whole thing.
No,
Orange
because
mocha
He gets
frappuccino.
I'm
credit
wondering,
for this.
Jones in 3, does that mean in 3?
In
Like
3
it'll,
minutes?
it'll take him
3 or less.
3
Yeah,
rounds?
Yeah, maybe that's what he meant. Jones in
Yeah.
3 minutes, and then he was
Oh,
spot on.
shit.
Wow.
He's just,
Oh
he got the
my
script
God.
from Amazon. and he was
Wow.
like, Jones in 3.
When you caught him off guard and aired a private conversation with him on the show, he actually said something.
I called him.
We can go back to
I
that.
said he was on air.
We can go back to that and
Wait. What was it at? It was at 2:04. Nailed it. By the way, here's a text from one of my favorite managers in the business, the great Danny Rubenstein. What a night for him,
shout
by the
out.
way.
Shout out.
with Shavkat, and there was one other one. He had 2 on the card.
Who else?
Drickus, DDP.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The Roadhouse scene, they actually did like 4 times, walked Jake out twice, rushed Tehran to the cage, then did the fight scene like 3 or 4 times. They did it between early prelims and prelims, and then did it again between prelim and main card. How about that?
Yeah. I was like reading your mind there.
Wow. I mean, you were on the text as well, just looking at this clip. This
We were
pretty
supposed
cool.
to, me and Rick were supposed to get some Rubenstein hoodies today.
Some Ruby SC?
Ruby Sports.
Yeah, I love them. They look fantastic. They didn't get here in time.
Just for you guys, not for me.
No, of
Just
course
for
not.
us.
Yeah, we had a bit of a fight recently.
Yeah,
I'm not
I
going to
know.
get into it. But
We're still cool with them, though.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, we cleared it up as well.
I mean, I'm kind of cool with him. We'll see.
Yeah.
I like
You
the
guys-
hoodie looks great, so we're really in good graces. And then he's talking about hats and sweatsuits.
Wow. A full merch line. They're going to get merch before us.
They already
Add 'em
have
to the
merch
list.
for us.
Add them to
Every single person will get merch before us.
every single person's going to get merch before us.
I mean, when are we ever going to get merch?
I don't know. Even
Nobody knows, and there's no way to find out.
nobody knows, no way to find out. By the way, I don't know if you guys heard this. Even
Oh man.
This better be a good joke.
Yeah.
This had better be a good joke.
I blew it. I blew it.
What were you
I
gonna
forgot for a second that we were doing an actual show.
Oh
What were you
no.
about to say?
I was going to say I heard.
Oh right.
This had better be good.
No, I'm picking up what he's laying down.
What am I like that? What are you
Is he-
picking up? What about?
about the? I can't
yeah,
do it
Frank.
either.
Yeah, Frank.
He's from Houston.
Frank?
Yes.
We'll leave it at
I was
that.
saying even Yao Ming's coming out with his own MMA promotion. He's going to beat us to the punch, but I guess.
All right, we're good here.
Oh, come on here. Andy's still keeping him on. He doesn't want to be on camera right now.
I love it. I love it. I mean, that was my moment of the weekend.
By the way, that was like you in the watch party. Go full screen on Jed. He's still on.
Yeah, poor Jed. I mean,
Yeah, that was tough. That was
was
tough.
rough.
That was
That was
tough.
rough.
She's like, Jed was so, God bless him. He was so adamant. He was so confident that it was over the chin.
Yeah. I've been there before.
No, so have I.
Denial is the first stage, and I mean, like,
By the way, credit to you. You actually said it's good. Like he was trying to get off it, and I saw the clip that you posted, and you were like, no, this is real.
I mean, I don't know how you could have looked at it and not been like, it
Listen,
was
I
real.
thought it was a
Like,
great.
you're giving him credit for pointing out that a
It was
submission is a
no, it was the opposite of the typical Joe Rogan. Like he might be done, you know,
Yeah.
and you were like, no, he actually or she actually might be done.
I mean, her face was turning as
Yeah,
red
The
as.
way
Did
she
you see
took
that
her
picture?
back.
I think everybody
Oh, yeah.
knew that one was.
Did you see that picture?
Though I will say there was a moment that it looked like she might.
Oh, like with the
Then,
white skin and the red
yeah,
skin. Yeah,
looked like she got sunburnt.
Yeah, that was crazy. It looked like me at the beach on Saturday.
nice.
It looks like you got a little sun.
I got a little sun.
Fresh haircut this morning. Yesterday.
Well, last night. Come on, this morning. Too much pressure to do it this morning. But yeah, thanks for noticing. I appreciate it.
I do. It looks like you got a little sun.
Thanks.
I could use a little sun.
Yeah, it's nice over there.
Rick's sneaky tan.
Really?
I mean, me and him side by side. Is that the goal? I'm going to do some Jersey sunbathing this summer. It's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
Have we devolved to this?
Yes, this is it. All right, guys. Thank you very much. We'll see you on Wednesday. Frank, you can hit my music. What a day. What a day, Frank. Post pay-per-view Monday. Nothing quite like it in the biz. Still more to talk about. Jon Jones. Do you think he'll be on everyone's #1 pound-for-pound list come this week?
Sure sounds like it.
Yeah. By the way, great result for Forrest yesterday. Down 1-0, Brennan Johnson. Down 2-1, Brennan Johnson. I mean, all this guy does is step up to the plate. Probably weird to use a baseball analogy when
Yeah, you don't
speaking
want to
about
mix
soccer.
them, right?
Yeah.
Or just keep it fair. It's like, wow.
All he does is deliver.
Yeah,
he's
he's
like
like
a UPS
the
driver.
Zamboni driver.
Why Zamboni? Oh, because you're saying like don't mix the.
Yeah, don't mix the sports. Yeah.
I just noticed. No, sorry, I was looking at the screen. There's a big thing because they do the watch parties here and they get rid of all my stuff.
We get rid of it.
Get rid of it, and then they have to get it all back. And there's a few things that are off. I noticed, like usually the toys are a little bit back here, and as you can see the belt, like usually you see the 10-7, but now you just see, I think, the 10 over there. No, actually, you see the 7 over here.
7's the important part.
Yeah, but like you don't see the 10.
Well, if you keep touching it, you're just going to move it more out of frame.
So there's just a few things, but it looks good on the watch party. I just like,
Did you see how many primes we drank?
Yeah, I heard a lot of primes were
consumed.
My kids aren't happy about that. They thought the primes were for them. It's a whole thing.
They should come up here.
You know what? I'd love to see that happen. Thank you very much, all our guests today. Thank you to Stipe. Thank you to Bo Nickal. Thank you to Anthony Smith. Thank you to Ian Machado Garry. Thanks to them. Thanks to all of you. Back on Wednesday, same time and place. Until then, I say peace. I'm out of here.